So not a bad day of Mortal Kombat. There's so much to talk about, and before we get too stuck in, I want to remind everybody you can get involved in these tournaments yourself, compete.playstation.com. There are so many games now that are under the PlayStation tournaments that it's too hard to count them all, I'm going to be honest. And if you play anything on PlayStation, just go on the competition center. You're probably going to find something to sink your teeth into. And I want to mention too, those that might wonder, how did we reach this point for these warm-up rounds? There were online tournaments beforehand to qualify for them. There were 2 tournaments, if I recall, and players could take part and just kind of get involved and place as high as they can. You place high enough, boom, you get invited to play in these warm-up rounds to get everyone ready for the official EVO tournaments when they begin in the online space. Now, Chef, our first matchup interests me extremely purely because this is actually a battle of 2 players that, in the many, countless at this stage, community 2v2 events that take place, it isn't too uncommon that Mirko and Conflictus team up. But today, they're going head-to-head.
Yeah, and not only is it a cool matchup because they are teammates so often, but I think it's really a clash of styles, right? I mean, first of all, we just gotta say the obvious. It's probably going to be Scorpion versus Sub-Zero, which is the classic
100%.
matchup, the ultimate clash. But just as far as styles go, you know, Mirko, just so well known for being extremely patient, having some of the best defense of anybody in this entire game. Just, you know, almost needs no introduction, has won so many tournaments over the past year even. Just one of the greatest Scorpions, I'd say, of all time for sure, hailing from Italy. But his opponent is really the one that I want to talk about because it's a player that maybe players haven't seen as much, or I should say viewers haven't seen as much. Conflictus, who is a very aggressive Sub-Zero. I always say when we see Sub-Zero on stream, I say the #1 rule of Sub-Zero is you cannot have any fear in your heart, and Conflictus follows that rule to a T, willing to take the big risks, willing to throw it all out there, and that's terrifying when you're playing Sub-Zero. So it's a play style very fitting for the character, and I would say kind of the foil of the classic patient play style that we see from Mirko.
Yeah, I mean, if you flip the dictionary and you look up the word reckless, there's just a big old fat picture of Conflictus's face, because that is how he plays the character. Sub-Zero is a high-octane and volatile character with that mix that no one likes to deal with, but it is effective. You know, it's his strongest area for sure, is that unpredictability. But the reason Conflictus is reckless is because of just his slides and how many of those slides work. If he thinks you're going to press a button from anywhere near jump distance, that slide's coming out. It can be a blessing and a curse though, because obviously one blocked slide means full punish. And in the likes of Mirko, you know he's got the reactions to look for that optimized punish every single time. But yeah, the battle of 2v2 buddies going head to head now in a matchup that's existed since 1992. I mean, Scorpion and Sub-Zero rarely gets more legendary than that, as far as I'm concerned. But let's now jump in. Oh, hang on a minute. So Mirko starting off, I don't even need to see the actual moves, because his Reaper variation is Searing Rage. You've got the Death Spin, you've got the extra strings, you've got the spear buff, and that has got to be just, I'm going to block those slides and punish them for absolute max damage. He knows his enemy here for sure.
Yeah, he's just like, okay, I already know that like most of this game is going to be either punishes or me guessing wrong, so let's just make the best of it, which makes a whole lot of sense. On the other side, we see the more classic custom Sub-Zero. Oh, they're letting the intros rock. Let's just listen.
You are a revenant once more. I cannot escape my rage. Allow me to cool your anger.
Round one.
Oh, all right, let's go. What a way to start this off.
Now, I think with this kind of matchup, it's like I said, this variation that Mirko has picked, that looked very much like a reaction to me. Conflictus, always that itchy trigger finger when it comes to the slide. The breakaway immediately, no punish though, because that is not one of those conditions that Scorpion can get punished. But the forward two already. Now expect a lot of mix and reset. Conflictus rarely, oh dear, I'd say rarely cashes out. In that instance, could have punished the teleport with a hell of a lot more than a down one. Might live to regret that in round one.
Yeah, I think maybe he was just kind of playing a little bit safe, trying to wait to see if there was going to be an amplify there, but still, regardless, has a pretty good lead. And like you said, we're going to see so much mix if he gets an opportunity. Right now, Mirko, I mean, you know, sometimes the best defense is a good offense, and just the pressure, not letting Conflictus take an opportunity, that must have been a mistake, and that's going to be a lot of bar gone. This is really scary. I mean, one more hit from Searing Rage could be it, especially with the fatal blow.
You look at the health that's left and you cannot look back and think of that down one punish on the teleport. Like the amount of damage Conflictus could have got there, or maybe forcing a breakaway. Oh dear, definitely does not expect a late wake up there. Fishes for the forward two, but no one's home. Looking for the trip guard anti, and Mirko, no doubt ending it with a side switch. I like that optimized combo ender. Just get the standing one for the damage, make sure the spear connects, but the important thing is giving him the corner positioning. So important for Scorpion.
Yeah, and you know that Mirko will always be ready for that and ready for projectiles, even if it's amplified, even if it's one of the fastest projectiles in the game. You do not test Mirko's reactions, or you eat a full combo like this for even more damage than usual, because it is this variation. Oh no. That's going to do a lot of damage still. And the whole thing being unbreakable. Not that it matters. Conflictus doesn't have defensive bar. No confirm on the low either. This game is falling apart for the British lad, I gotta say. And that 2-1 easy catch. It's so crazy to think that string does about 19% damage on its own. But it's like I said, folks, this variation of Mirko, it's normally the variation he picks when the chips are down, we're into that final game, and you've got to make something happen. And he just wants the stagger pressure, which is massive for him, because remember, Scorpion's 2-1, I believe it's +2 on block still. So you take the 2-1, which is already a crucial pressure tool, and then you chuck this extra attack on top. It does really good damage, safe on block, gives him an extra down one mind game that he can apply. And then if I block your slide and I've got a spear buff, I mean, say goodbye to so much damage. His standing punish damage with the spear buff is out of this world in this variation, and you kind of get to see that put to practice. Yeah, I mean, even if you don't have the buff, just the fact that there's the extended strings in this one and the fact that you've got the death spin means that you're going to be punishing for a lot more than you usually are able to. So, yeah, one way or another, it's just going to be a lot of damage. And he really took advantage of that, right? I mean, I feel like the first round was very much in Conflictus's control, right? Like 100% until, I mean, it was still a punish. You know, it was still punish on the teleport, just a not good punish, but that's all it takes. It doesn't even take necessarily a bad play, just a not optimal play. And then Mirko's like, oh, that's all you got? Okay, my turn.
The immediate jump back, though, and Mirko with the jump too, just because, you know, he knows that's going to connect and give him such good damage, and the pressure already belongs to it. Doesn't scout out the wake up 3, though. Conflictus able to steal a turn back. Ooh, that raw creeping ice. I mean, I can only imagine that might have been an execution error. Like, maybe he wanted a button on top.
He has been using some interesting choices in the neutral, like using the, I think it's standing 3, down 3 string. I actually don't remember the input for that string. I know somebody's going to come out for being wrong on that, but you just see it so rarely. The one that puts out the little ice like it's a creeping ice, and it's hit before. It's hit in the neutral against Mirko. So weird stuff, but sometimes you got to go to it.
2-1 into down 1. Oh, just a preemptive down 2 out of nowhere, though. Conflictus. Bit of a panic button, I fear. Unfortunately, will be punished with a round completely going away. I've got to give shouts, man. This Deadpool stage. Oh, it's so good. I love this stage, man. Any classic stage reimagined, I'm here for.
The classic. Yeah, me too. I was revisiting the pit. I missed the pit. But okay, here we go. Gonna get the corner with this amplified slide. Gonna build that much closer to the crushing blow.
Oh my lord,
the
just
pickup out of the
down
air.
1. Using that down 1 as just a long range mid poke almost. So Scorpion's down 1. Not to be, I think, misjudged, I guess. It's a fantastic button. Preemptive, but there's the mind game. And he goes for the optimized punish. Oh, even though you can't break it, still does 31%. Speaking of punish, all of this unbreakable still. +2 on block, but Conflictus just going for the jump out. Reset, but a bit too eager. Now the forward 2, we've got to factor in there was a lot of pushback there. Mirko might not have fancied his chances punishing that.
Yeah, I mean, it's the first time that we've seen really not even an attempt at a punish, just going up and dashing up for the grab, kind of showing like, yeah, you're waiting for me to punish, so I'm just going to take advantage of that. But there we go. Lands the hit anyway afterwards. And yeah, it's, I mean, even if you are Scorpion, who's got a bunch of really good tools to punish stuff like that, like you've got back 2, you've got back 1, forward 3, it still can be really difficult, especially with all the pushback after the forward 2. So good stuff for Mirko, knowing again exactly what to do to best take advantage of the situation when Conflictus is doing something unsafe. And I mean, the mix-ups have started and they've worked once they've started. It's just eventually there's just like one moment where like one mix-up will not be correct and Mirko just takes full advantage of it. And I don't know exactly what needs to be changed. What do you think? Do you think there's anything in particular that could be changed? Maybe playing safer?
So. I mean, as we can say that Conflictus might need to play safer, but it's just not his style. He's not the kind of player that will go into like full-on defensive mode. He will rush you down all game, and it's just the way he plays the character. One major element, I think that Mirko is realizing in the moment he hasn't got to fear that low right now, because Conflictus has not particularly shown us that he's looking to confirm that back 3 string. He hits it sometimes and there's nothing on deck. He'll just let the whole string go, and if you get hit by that, who cares? You have to confirm that 2-hit low into Ice Ball to make them really fear the overhead low mix-up. And right now, that is just not something that's been enforced. So Mirko's content to get hit by the low. And if he blocks the overhead, you're losing a bar of offense and he's getting a punish. And he'll make you second guess it the next time you do it. So I think he's just weighing up his opponent's options and the ones that he's, I think, favoring and getting plenty of information. Now, speaking of which, the same side. Oh, that's a nice little check on the overhead, though. You try and block the punish, potentially. Big damage as well. Give me that 32%.
Yeah, just holding him here in the corner now. And there we go. Finally going for the low a little bit. And now we're just seeing some pressure, actually. Not even going quite as much for mix. But what? What a read that he wasn't going to block the overhead there. I don't know why that worked, but it worked, and Mirko knew it was going to work, and that should be the round.
And it will be. You're bang on the money, my friend, because that's a match point for Mirko. One round like that, he's going to be in business moving on. Conflictus having a hard time just kind of getting into Mirko's groove, I fear. And I think that's kind of case in point. Conflictus is going for the risky plays, doesn't take a lot of damage, but he loses his defensive bar as Mirko's sitting on his spear buff. That is worst case scenarios. Here comes even more of the damage.
350 off of just a teleport. That is just so much damage. All right, goes for the mid-screen crushing blow. Needs to get as much damage as he possibly can to make this comeback. Oh, okay, no defensive bar now. Or, well, I guess you say one defensive bar, but this is huge. This is a great chance. Already used the crushing blow, gonna go straight into the fatal blow. This may be one of the times where we're not gonna see it actually kill. I think it's gonna be close.
This is Sub-Zero we're talking about, Chef. Oh, I was wrong, never mind.
not the chip. Oh no, the chip should have been guaranteed. It should have been guaranteed. And now there's a chance. And you know that we're going to see Mirko react to anything that was scary that maybe could have been a slide. Oh, just catches again. Oh my gosh. I can't believe how many times he couches 4, 3, 2. Just hitting with the overhead. It's not a mix-up there. There is no low option, but Conflictus just wasn't quite ready, and sometimes that happens. You get into the moment, you're ready for so many things that the basic things just catch you by surprise.
Sometimes it's you expect a stagger or forward 3, and then, you know, maybe you're going to try and interrupt in between, and then this kind of cheeky second hit just comes out of nowhere. And shame, really. He just feared Mirko's wake-up option so much, and it is a strength of the player in MK11 that there are so many things you can do on wake-up. If you have the defensive bath to do something, if they want to pressure you, they have to second guess, because you could roll in either direction. You could up 3, which is invincible, up 2 if you think they're going to jump. Do they wake up, even? There's so many different things that you can do that the wake-up game is extremely favourable, I think, for the player that's knocked down, and it caused Conflictus to second-guess himself. Gave Mirko a free way out, and happy to punish on the end of it. Conflictus was working on a pretty substantial comeback, but in one of those cases just did extra hits that made it scale. Yeah, he did what he could. He really did do what he could, but Mirko, he just outplayed Conflictus here. There's really no other way to spin it. Sounds hilariously vague, I'm sure, but Mirko was more comfortable, more knowledgeable in this matchup, and I think he was just playing a lot more confident, and it showed. This was the moment, man.
Oh, yeah, just do it. I mean, I do think there is a good possibility, especially since you know that that was a bait on the flawless block, but regardless, one way or another, it just all worked out for Mirko. So he'll be our first player moving forward into the upper bracket semifinals, and we are going to move down to see who will be fighting Mirko, with MK Javier taking on B-Boy KU.
We always do seem to get, in these PlayStation tournaments, the 2 finest European Scorpions in the business. It's always going to be Mirko and Javier making up the same bracket. They've played against each other countless times, often late, deep into the bracket. And they've played against, certainly, everyone else. And Javier is another talented young Scorpion, hailing from Spain this time round, and has seen his fair share of community success, whether it is community tournaments. Did just do extremely well in the Coliseum Global. Shoutouts to Mr. Aquaman and the rest of the team for putting on one hell of a community show yesterday. Javier did extremely well for himself with, again, only Scorpion. And it's not just community tournaments. You know, we see him in pro competition. We've seen him in open series. B-Boy KU, another player that we've seen countless times in open series, and if I remember correctly, does like to use that mixture of Z-Hat and Orbiting Hat, which takes the Z-Hat setups on block, which are normally quote-unquote not real, but then the existence of the Orbiting Hat makes you fear interruption. So it creates a lot more creative doors, I suppose. Hard to call, though. I think statistically, if we're going by recent results, Javier is the favourite here, but B-Boy KU, there's just something about playing on a PlayStation tournament stream that makes him bring that A game. So we could have a game 5, but my money's on Javier today.
Yeah, Javier, I would say, you know, you said one of the greatest EU Scorpions. I feel like getting better and better as time goes on as well.
I agree.
And yeah, I mean, that was a great example of, you know, saying just even yesterday, just doing really, really well. But B-Boy KU, one of those players always capable of, like, bringing something really unexpected. You know, not necessarily, like, character-wise. We do expect the right character. But just as far as, like, play style and sometimes just popping off. So this one is a pretty big mystery for me. I know they've played in the past, but it's not a super common matchup, or at least one that I remember that's happened in at least a few months. And there has been a lot of development, I think, from just a lot of players, I would say, over the past few months. So I'm excited to see it. This one's kind of an up-in-the-air match for me. I would have to agree with you. There's a little bit of, like, a favorite here to win. But, I mean, especially, you know, in any of the PlayStation tournaments, European brackets, it seems like it doesn't matter if there's a favorite. There's always the chance for gigantic upsets.
I love the variety that we get in these brackets, whether it's characters. I mean, even in Coliseum Global yesterday, shouts to Rothor from Germany, being able to get top 4 with Rambo. That was one of my favorite tournament runs I've seen in a very long time. If you haven't watched it, I do thoroughly recommend just checking out Mr. Aquaman. But more appropriate to the subject, we have the character select. So Scorpion from Javier, which is no surprise. We know that it happens. Now, one different thing that does separate Javier and Mirko is that often when, and I'm mentioning it because we have the Kung Lao in play, When Mirko fights Kung Lao players, he does actually go with Searing Rage. I think Kung Lao has a hard time punishing Death Spin from max distance, whereas Javier, that's just not his style. It really isn't. But the style of B-Boy KO, we can see the Orbiting Hat and Z-Hat again. It's an unorthodox style of Kung Lao. And let's not forget, competitively, Kung Lao has kind of fallen out of favor. He's not popular anymore. You don't see him that much. He used to be a very North American-dominated character, but you still don't even see him much over there these days. Starting things off with a forward 3 and Javier getting punished for it. B-Boy KO getting that punish on deck and the setup into the meaty hat. I like it. Lovely throw tech still.
Yeah, I mean, you know, you say I'm kind of fallen out of competitive favor, but there have been some players that have been doing extremely well. I'd like to reference Illuminati, you know, winning the Mortal Kombat Pro competition for Mexico. It's just I think the players have changed. We're starting to see some of these Kung Lao players really get down a lot of their tech and being able to use every single variation that the character can bring, because there are quite a few very viable ones, is really important, and we're just slowly starting to see people get more comfortable with that, I think.
Looking for the long-range game so far, that burning spear. Hesitant, perhaps, on that hat toss. You know that Javier's looking for those reactions. The second hit, flawless block, but immediately punished. No, confirm from B-Boy KO. That could have been so much more than it was. And that's going to give Javier an opportunity. The block on the teleport. No flawless block from B-Boy. Doesn't want to risk it. There's the reaction we're talking about, though. If you're going to play Scorpion competitively, you got to have those reactions, and Javier absolutely will. Give me that fatal blow. And enough damage to finish that round. Fantastic stuff from the Spanish. Wonderful Scorpion player. So good.
Yeah, that is, this is one of the styles that we do see. Actually, we do see it a lot from Mirko as well. Not at all the styles we saw today just because of the matchup, but being able to back up and make your opponent impatient and then punish everything that they can do is such a good style with Scorpion. The problem is you do somewhat need the life lead since you can't force chip on people. So now that he's not got the life lead, although he might steal it back here, I was going to say he might be a little bit more aggressive. We'll see.
Keeping that pressure single button heavy. There's something that very quickly in the game's meta became prominent. Oh, good lord, that counter hit's going to bag decent damage even without meter. Just like that, we see 25% outright. Oh, the delayed low. B-Boy KO breaking at the last possible second, but no fear from Javier sticking out that throw. And there's so much similarities now between... I used to say that Javier and Mirko had distinct styles against each other, but I think that as time goes on, the two of them just... they ascend their gameplay and just become, this is what top-level Scorpion looks like. It's a fearlessness and confidence, a strong throw game, absolutely. You need to have no fear with that. MK11, you can stick out a throw and someone will just down 2 KB into giant damage. It's always a risk. But as a Scorpion player, you've got to take that risk. But sometimes it's all about just having that sixth sense of, there are so many things I could do. Do they expect a throw now? You know, you've got to kind of look into a crystal ball to think that now's a good time to duck, right? We've got to get very lucky. And I think that they just seem to hit so many. Javier continuing to impress. Fantastic game one.
Yeah, I just kind of, based on what you were talking about, I think it's true, and I think a lot of players who maybe aren't as familiar with competitive Mortal Kombat see Scorpion, and they see a lot of the newer online Scorpions, and yeah, Scorpion's a wild character, does a bunch of unsafe stuff, teleports around a lot, but I feel like as time has gone on, we've seen a lot of the best Scorpions really lock down this more patient, neutral-based play style, waiting for you to just mess up, and that's why we're starting to see players like Javier and Mirko play a lot more similar to each other over time. And there you go, we're seeing it again, just using the teleport cancels, making your opponent whiff some big buttons, making them freak out a little bit, and then you just take advantage of it. But right now, that's not what we're seeing. We actually are seeing, of course, the switch to Sub-Zero, which we didn't even talk about. So we're seeing the same matchup twice in a row for our first two matchups. It's the classic. They're giving us a throwback.
But at the same time, this is a character that B-Boy KO has been known to pull out when the chips are down. There really is no getting around it. Ooh, that breakaway, though, that was not going to save you from any damage, my friend. And now say goodbye to both bars of defense. The down one challenge on the 2-1 plus frames. Javier will remember that for sure. Caught jumping out. That forward 2 freeze.
Ooh,
maybe a little bit nervous, perhaps.
Yeah, some little bit of a drop right there. But, I mean, regardless, the Sub-Zero looks like it's working out better so far. The problem is, can he close it out? Especially with that fatal blow. Javier already closing out one game with the fatal blow. He just has to
But
find
that
the
defensive
moment.
bar, that forward 4-2 becomes such a better option. That was a absolute reaction there, Chef. Man saw that forward 2 and stood up. You can absolutely react to the overhead online, but it is so much harder. But like I said, young man reactions.
Yeah, and man, no, great call to be able to convert into the kill without having to spend any meter or any fatal blows. What I was trying to say. Yeah,
Chef,
that was
reacted
great.
to the roll. That was so sick.
All right. Okay, further. Ooh, man. One thing about Javier is he's just unafraid to spend his defensive bar. Look at that. No defensive bar, no offensive bar now. Just is like, you know what? If you hit me, you hit me. And you're not going to hit me. Builds the bar back. Gets the classic. And that, I mean, it started to look better for B-Boy KU, but it just fell apart at the end.
Man, and the confidence coming through, like I've said once before, Javier, the amount of those reactions were so tight. It always comes down to kind of a mixture of prediction and reaction. You kind of feel it in your bones that it's coming, so you're prepared for it. And then the moment you see the first indication that your read is true, it makes reacting so much easier. I think those that have historically played, because you and I have played Sector and MK9 before, right? It's similar. You have a projectile in mind, and the second you see the first few frames of what you're looking for, it's right, bam. And it looks like the most godlike reaction in the world because you're already kind of prepared for it. You just got the little confirmation that you needed. We saw that twice with Javier both blocking the forward 2 and seeing the wake-up roll from his jump kick, of which he wasted no time reacting with teleport. These are some high-level strats. And it's why Javier is so successful in all tournaments these days, because there's just so much talent in this player. Glad to see him doing well.
Yeah, although it would be interesting if he does manage to win this, to see him go up against Mirko. That would be a pretty intense matchup.
It's
the
always a great mirror, Chef. It's always a great mirror when they play.
But he's still going to win one more. It's definitely not over yet. We are going to see the switch back to Kung Lao, and it will be the same variation, the one with the Z hat and the orbiting hat, which is a bit of a signature of KU. Oh, but wow, I can't believe that teleport didn't punish. That looked like it was going to. Pretty quick recovering projectile. Not one of the quickest, but not one of the slowest either.
Counter hit on that forward 3. I do not think that Javier fully believed it would connect, but we'll take any kind of damage we can. The cheeky back 3. Oh, spear out of nowhere. And we just build the meter just in time. B-Boy with a wake-up roll, trying to escape in this kind of variation that you've always got to be careful, because, as I will say, as this round is about to come to a close, there's still a chance for a comeback. Disrespecting on wake-up, though, and punishing for it. B-Boy KU doing so many wake-up attacks does cut his utility of orbiting hat. Let's not forget, it's 1 bar of each to use it. And if you spend it, then, I mean, it's so much harder. Yes, he hasn't got Omega hat, but still, it's expensive.
Oh, yeah, and you want to have your defensive bar against Scorpion. I mean, the thing, though, is that he can keep it pretty unbreakable, so one way or another, you're going to be taking a lot of damage. But here we go. Using it in neutral, not really using it as a check in block strings, which is interesting. It's a way we tend to see it a lot, and a nice pickup from that forward 3, kind of catching on the way up, and going into the interactable. Oh, my gosh.
The corner pressure. B-Boy, this is his chance. I kind of respect sticking out that 1-2-1 if it hits. It's an opportunity to get damage, maybe even spend the fatal blow. No anti-air there. Oh, no, he hesitates. That was his chance, Jeff.
I know, he made the right read, he got the neutral duck, and then he just didn't punish it. All right, that time he's going to tech it. Oh, went for a big risk. It's understandable, right? A lot of people want to press buttons right there. Hey. He was going for that one final risk. You kind of got to go for something like that if you're going to make a huge comeback, but it just wasn't the right read. We saw the patience win out in the end, and now we've seen 2 3-0s from Scorpion. Wow.
I tell you what, Scorpion is a popular... This sounds hilariously vague, right, when I say Scorpion's a popular character, but in tournaments you don't see tons of Scorpion. Over in Europe, yes, we do, because Mirko and Javier combined, and then obviously shout-outs to Mercer as well. You know, can't forget Mercer from Russia. There's so many Scorpions that we have in these tournaments that, you know, you almost get sick of seeing the character, right, because it's just all over the place. But the talent, I just love to see the natural talent of these players, and B-Boy KU, respect to the Sub-Zero pick. He's a popular character for that kind of ace in the hole, if you will, just being able to pick that character that gives you that online element, the unpredictability. Right, I'm going to disregard my main, it's time to mix. But Javier, blocking it like a surgeon. Fantastic showing, and it means we're gonna get likely a Scorpion Mirror. I know that both characters have been known to change character in the past against each other, but it's been kind of later down the line. But I'd love to see that Scorpion Mirror. Now, I do have a bit of an update, folks. Desarted is in this bracket today. He's meant to be fighting H-Dope in our next matchup. Unfortunately, the poor chap has had a power outage in his area, so he's unable to play currently. Hopefully that does kind of get resolved. We know that, look, these things happen and it really is out of your control, so he'll definitely keep us posted. Hopefully he is going to be able to play today, because I always love watching Desarted. He's become one of my favorite players. But due to conditions absolutely out of his control, we are going to swap the matches. So our next match is going to be Mr. Ramirez versus K-Top, which, look, Chef, this is still a great matchup. Not because of the characters, but because of the rivalry. Mr. Ramirez does not like fighting Jackie Briggs. K-Top and Ramirez have definitely gone back and forth in tournaments, so I don't think either player wants to lose this one.
No, yeah, these two are both so successful, and I would say more successful over time, right? And they're really kind of at the peak of their dominance right now in the regions. Of course, K-Top, I don't know exactly how to explain his playstyle. The rushdown mobility king, as maybe the way I would put it. Just a real aggressive player, I think, to say the absolute least. But
I would like to remind everyone has qualified in these warm-up rounds for Tekken 7 as well. So there's clearly a lot of just fundamental fighting game talent with this chap. But the Jackie Briggs, it's like I've said many times before, and I think he gets a lot of heat from the community for playing Jackie, but she's the character that fits his style the best. He likes characters that are less about that patient game and then more about the mix. It's why he was so efficient at Mortal Kombat X, because that was a game of mix. And in this game, he plays characters that allows him to do something similar, whether it's elements of mix with Delia's Dance of Jade, Terminator, of course, which he does have a very good Terminator, but Jackie just lets him play the game the most efficiently. And that really is all there is to it. But Mr. Ramirez, known for a bit more of a specialist, I think we can say, Scarlet being his favorite character in the game, but he has a fantastic Sindel. That was a time where I would say he's the most impressive Sindel we've ever seen. And he's seen his fair share of tournament success as well. This is a clash of two champions. Both of these players have won tournaments in the past in this PlayStation tournament setting. Good stuff.
Emma, correct me if I'm wrong, but was this the Mortal Kombat Pro Competition Finals?
I believe so. There was a bracket.
I think it was.
If memory serves, I have a memory like a sieve, but if memory serves, it was a bracket reset, but then ultimately Mr. Ramirez did take that, so.
Right, yeah, and then they did have a chance, I think, to rematch even like after that. So this is a growing rivalry for sure, and it's very similar to the first match of the day, I think, where we can say that this is a real clash of playstyles. You were talking about how Mr. Ramirez, well known for the Scarlet and for the Sindel, has a few of the characters like we've seen, I think, a new Noob Saibot, but the key there is really the playstyles are all these like kind of slower paced, more neutral, patient characters that really just try to take advantage of your opponent trying to play wild. And then the other side, the opponent trying to play wild, is definitely going to be K-Top. So it's going to be another one of those like super aggressions versus super patient matches. And we are going to see the Cabal, not a surprise pick, regardless of the fact that we've seen Jackie quite a bit. Cabal, a lot of Jackie players I think are going to the character, has the ability to move around in the air a lot, has a ton of damage, does a lot of the same things that she does once you use that air slight gas. And we've seen this as a pick from K-Top himself many times.
Like we've said many times, as you quite rightly pointed out, the characters that are able to bypass the neutral, and it almost sounds insulting to describe it that way, but there are characters and variations that you can put together that do that, because if that's not your strong area, but you do excel at rushdown and mix-ups and being able to kind of put those layers on and figure out how your opponent's trying to defend or whatever it is, it works. So I'm not surprised to see the Cabal here, but it will be a matchup that no doubt Mr. Ramirez is extremely comfortable in. And let's keep an eye out on that Air Banshee dash, which we see as the first move used, and we know why. You want to go for the air dash against me? Eat this Banshee dash. And the Star Screamer to low profile. Good pick so far. Whoa, okay, calm down, mate.
Yeah, you want to talk about bypassing neutral. That's a way. Obviously a gigantic risk, but if it hits, it's a gigantic reward, and then your opponent just has to sit there and be careful, be wary of it. So starting that off, I mean, even just the fear of it happening again is going to be a huge advantage for K-Top going into this.
Ooh, narrowly misses out on the armor break, but the damage is still good afterwards. Not going to be the end of the world for Mr. Ramirez. The instant jump in, thoroughly ready for K-Top to go for the instant jump, something that Cabal players will do, and with punish Mr. Ramirez. Thoroughly outplaying in that first round, it has to be said.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so one of the main reasons why I think K-Top does tend to have trouble here is that, I mean, just in the past, oh, wow, that was an amazing down two. You almost never see her down two. I mean, another great anti-air tool in this matchup, but, oh my gosh, just over and over, everything's working. I can't even get my point out here. You know what? I'll finish it in between rounds because this looks like it's going to be pretty quick.
You can't finish your point, Chef, because he's in the middle of proving it.
Exactly. Fatal blows there. It's a good fatal blow for Cabal, but you just need to find so many hits right here. Great flawless block. This is a good way to start. Has been the corner.
A rather expensive combo, but now as K-Top gets that throw, the mix-up begins. Fatal blow is a threat here. The patience down for anti-air. Unfortunately, doesn't quite get the confirm though. And hang on. All right, damage on deck. K-Top unlikely to spend. No, he will. Okay.
Wow.
I thought he was going to save the fatal blow for later, but this will give him a guess for game scenario.
Or will it? Okay, it almost kills here. Almost kills. That did a lot more than I thought it was going to. But yeah, it is still going to be a guess. It's going to be a potential chip damage. Nice false block on the jump in. Oh, that was so scary. Any other character that isn't able to literally air dash would have fallen right into that. That would have been the good right call. But all right, there we go. That's a good first step to this comeback. But had to spend a lot of resources.
Yes, indeed. And a comeback that was almost completely shut down. Mr. Ramirez flawless blocking that jump too means that you're unable to special cancel air normals. So it would have stopped the air dash from coming out. Speaking of which, Mr. Ramirez did not have meter. I guarantee you he was buffering that meter burn just in case, but... Oh my god, we're just doing it again! Give it to me!
No fear. No fear at all. Oh, great conversion from the jump kick and the armor breaker. Gonna cash out on it, yeah. At this point, there's not even enough life left to get the bigger crushing blow from that. So you just take what you can get, and this damage is gonna be so significant. No defensive bar. This might actually be it. Nope, not gonna quite be it, but finds the opening again, and it felt like Mr. Ramirez was in control, but it just took that one comeback, and it looks like the momentum shifted completely.
I think when we talk about K-Top, we talk about the tenacity of his game plan. The fact that he is so content to stick to it. Because it's not going to be, I play a more patient game or a careful game. It is, I find another alternative to getting that one hit and staying on you all round. It was looking like a free game for Mr. Ramirez. Off the back of that second round where the comeback was made, really, we start the next round, K-Top gets in, and then the rest is history. And that's the kind of game plan that he likes to enforce. It's no wonder that he has gone to this Cabal, because if you have all these different characters, Mr. Ramirez was doing a fantastic job of keeping him out of the air, but that only lasts for so long. He only has to get in once, and he gets in once, he can win the round on it. Mr. Ramirez does need to keep himself cool, though, because I do think that, I don't know him personally, but I have seen in game before, he has had a tendency to show quite a lot of frustration, even in victory. I think he can tend to be, he pops off quite a lot on people that play in a way that he doesn't approve of, and all it really does is confirm that what they're doing bothers you, which is the worst thing to show them. Like, don't show them that it bothers you, because they'll just do it more.
Yep. Shoutouts to a Law Corridor, the player that I can think of for that immediately. But okay, great with punish on the down 4, I think that was. And now we're just starting off exactly where we left off in the last game, where it's just going to be pressure, and great conversions. Even with the 4-2-2 catching airborne, you do get some really nice combos. I love the fact that you can end in that really nice knockdown from the air projectile. Not one you'd expect, but all right, there we go. Just going to need chip here, and woo, tries to bait a wake up. Puts himself in the corner, but still such a dominant round from K-Top.
Puts himself in the corner, but all it takes is one. Got the spins, and he's back in business. The pushback on that down 2. Trying to preemptively go in for that scream as well. Mr. Ramirez looking for the big damage, the chance to get any kind of one-up, really, because minimal damage so far. Beautiful throw tech. You just have to worry about a Cabal that's jumping around as much as this, because anything is being buffered into that air dash, and the air dash becomes another one.
Yeah, I mean, the air... Oh my god, again! Oh, and the armor breaker again. It seems like Mr. Ramirez is maybe not as familiar with the times where you can use the armor breaker with Cabal, because now that's 2 times in a row in 2 games, and that's a lot of free damage to give your opponent. Oh my gosh, the jump kick going behind. All right, just needs one more mix-up. Strike or throw.
Oh, definitely not expecting that, but a clean pickup. And K-Top, I told you there's a rivalry here. If there's a brutality that's going to be possible, we're going to see it. Mark my words. Now, the question is, Chef, do we see a variation change, a character change? I'm not sure. Because these slides, I'm so used to seeing that kind of play from Sub-Zero, these dashes that we see coming out from K-Top, they will bother you. If you are a player that's known to getting frustrated in a set, and you just get hit by these full screen nomad dashes, like, you have to be the most calm and collected player to not go, oh, really? He did it again? You know, we've all been there, and if you haven't, you're a liar. I don't believe you.
Well, okay, so one big thing that I was actually, it's what I was trying to mention earlier before that match just went wild, is that the whole region, the whole CIS region is so well known for using Sindel to counter these airborne characters, especially because of that air Banshee dash, right? It's so good at catching people out of the air, and the anti-airs from Sindel in general are amazing, some of the best in the game free. But we saw that working really well in the very first round of the first game. Then I think K-Top started to realize, oh, I don't have to always go to the air to play wild. Now I can do these raw, you know, full screen dashes, or I can just throw a projectile, and then once I get one trade or one hit that is in my favor, that's a knockdown, and then I go in, then I use my air mobility, because you don't have a chance to counter it. So I feel like the adaptation from K-Top has been really good so far, and we'll see if, I mean, now that Mr. River is locked in, okay, that's a good adaptation, finally blocking a full screen nomad dash.
For sure, but it's the game of the jumping buffer that intrigues me as well. I love that ender with Cabal players using that kind of late active frame of the air buzzsaw just to get loads of knockdown frames, more than you might expect. Forward 4, and that's a clean little confirm there from Mr. Ramirez. Give me that 20%. Oh, whoa! No meter, unfortunately, to amplify it. The jump in option select, God, that helps Cabal so much more than everyone else. Knockdown, short hop pressure, the instant jump in to stop you from jumping out as well, and the staggers continue. Definitely looking for a flawless block launch there. Oh. No way. Oh, that's gonna hurt as K-Top breezes his way now into match point. How does Mr. Ramirez get out of this situation?
I don't know. Hey, you know what? 4-4 works. That's always a good choice. But oh no!
Oh God!
Oh, and again the armor breaker. How many times, Mr. Ramirez? Just break away so often, and it might be a thing that, like you said, out of frustration, right? You're like, I don't want to take this combo, but then you end up taking even more. K-Top just looking in full control. Gonna send back to mid-screen, actually, after controlling that corner for so long. But yeah, on knockdown. Oh my gosh, poking out again. I think it was a minus on block situation, but oh, he's dead for sure. K-Top, what a playstyle. K-Top doing everything in his power to frustrate his opponent, and it clearly worked. Although, that's a gigantic fail. I think it's a set loss for failing.
You know why? So K-Top only ever friendships in tournament, but he might be out of easy fatality tokens, or he wanted to fatality because, like I said, there's a rivalry there, and he probably couldn't remember the input. He tried to do it, but then it's like, oh yeah, but what distance do I do? Easy fatality tokens has made us all worse at performing fatalities, I promise. I promise. And they're not even easy fatality tokens, they're easy friendship tokens. That's the only reason competitive players use them. But you know what? The change to Cabal, it kind of looked like a confident and solid start from Mr. Ramirez, but it just got worse for him the longer the series went on. And the Cabal pick, a bit of an extra addition to the arsenal of K-Top, really helps him out, but it just allows him to play the way he wants to. And he played around the Sindel extremely well. And I think now they constantly take it in turns to trade results. That cannot be stated enough. But it does mean that for now, K-Top has that one up.
Yeah, and I feel like it's a pretty big one too, you know? Usually they trade results, but being very close to each other as far as score and sets. This one looked and felt to me like it was really the K-Top game overall. And I think a lot of it is the switch to Cabal. The Cabal playing a lot more solid than I think I'm used to seeing. Obviously, this Cabal was very good in the past, but it's just, this is probably the best I've ever seen it. Knowing exactly when to pick his moments, exactly when to be grounded, when to be airborne, when to try to bait things, convert it every single time. Was there a single dropped combo, I think every single one was absolutely maximum damage, which, yeah, and of course the raw nomad dashes, which cannot be understated, but that means he will move forward, and we've got a whole day of 3-0 so far. We are blazing through even the match in the lower bracket. B-Boy KU 3-0 over Conflictus, so it's all been one-sided today, but regardless, it's been really good matches.
Hey, it's got to give shouts to Conflictus for getting that top 8 anyway. You know, he is an up-and-comer in the UK, and I know he works hard, grinding his favourite character, so it's always nice to see him in a top 8, and hopefully we'll see him next time. That's all I can say about that one. But like I said, we were talking about the Cabal pick from K-Top before, and when we first saw it, we were like, yeah, this looks very much like a character that has just been picked up. I think it was a couple of months ago, in fact, and I remember us being like, hey, well, you know, we'll give it time, we'll see his Cabal in the future, and we'll kind of see that refinement, and we got a perfect demonstration of that. Clearly has been putting in the lab time with the character and just the gameplay all around. Now, a bit of an update. Normally with these kind of tournaments, we do have those first 4 games and then we throw to break. Unfortunately, Desarted is still having outages, I believe, in his area, and production is just trying to give him a bit more time. So on that note, we're going to throw to break 1 game earlier to give Desarted more time to play, because we would very much love to see it. If you want to get involved, compete.playstation.com. It's how you play in all these tournaments. It's how the players got into these warm-up rounds. They qualified in online settings through the competition center, and it's as simple as that. Now, we'll keep everything crossed for Desarted. I want to see him play. Hopefully he can, and we'll see you in a few minutes with an update. Take care. I tell you what, stream, it was a good thing that we gave Desarted extra time because he is in fact ready and good to go, so we're not going to be a match short today. Welcome back, everybody. You are currently watching the MK11 Evo warm-up rounds, part of the PlayStation tournaments. It's been a good day so far. My name's Ketchup, joined by Wonder Chef, as always, and for this European and CIS side of the tournament, we have H-Dope, one of the Greek brothers, going up against Desarted. Character-wise, H-Dope plays quite a few. I do think that he is very much on Cetrion now, because Shiva did get those changes in that patch where a lot of the characters had their adjustments made. Shiva absolutely got hit the hardest. I think a lot of Shiva players did drop the character as a result of that. Desarted playing a mixture of Shang Tsung and Sub-Zero, so we can definitely expect to see either of the two here.
Yeah, Desarted, very, very well known in the past for playing that Shang Tsung with the Ninja Morphs, but more recently, and although I guess it really isn't all that recent anymore, it's like 1/3 of a year ago now, picked up this Sub-Zero and has been on an absolute tear with the character. I think we're starting to get past the kind of new phase for the character for Desarted, and it's starting to really become, I would say, the main, and for a very good reason. It's been very successful. On the other side, H-Dope, like you said, my favorite Shiva player, I think that I'd watched. Unfortunately, maybe not picking Shiva so much. Big thing was that he didn't even use the stomp that much, but there were some other nerfs to Shiva that just added up. So the opposite, of course, you know, this twin brother of K-Top that we saw earlier, for anybody not familiar. We've got a lot of twins in the MK11 scene, in the NRS scene, for whatever reason. Yeah, too many. Who likes those guys? No, I'm just kidding. No, yeah, all cheating by having training partners readily available, but being training partners with K-Top, huge deal, and the fact that they play very different styles is big, right? We see H-Dope as the more like defensive brother, the one who plays the more zoning type characters, just the defensive characters, right? We saw the Shiva playing a lot with that dragon stance, being able to like throw a lot of fireballs. We see the Cetrion. We've seen just a good amount of options like that in the past. So we're going to see a very different play style, but it's good to see H-Dope again. Haven't seen him for a while on these broadcasts.
Oh, and actually on that note, it looks like he's still continuing to change around to different characters, but Spiritual Guidance and Possessed Hat, I believe that variation was. So H-Dope has always been the kind of player that plays unorthodox variations in MK11. The reason he had my favorite Shiva to watch, besides Foxy Grandpa, was because he had a variation that I'd never seen anyone use, and that's just how he likes to play. And we can see here, Spiritual Guidance. What is he going to do with this Kung Lao? The Sub-Zero Desarted, just expect good things.
Yeah, this is exactly what we expect. The Rising Eye is a huge deal of it, but I love Spiritual Guidance. My favorite custom move, maybe in the entire game, and this variation in particular, known for its gigantic damage, right? I think the whole goal here is that we're going to see H-Dope try to get the highest damage punishes possible when he can. And that's one of the biggest things about Spiritual Guidance that people don't really think about, is that it is another meterless launcher on top of having the spin. Plus you get the cancels like that, which are technically not real, but they can be very hard to react to.
And at the same time, it turns the 1-2-1, which is already a built-in option select, basically, into a free meterless auto shimmy. Speaking of which, that is exactly what I'm talking about. Ow, jeez, 500 damage.
So you may be asking out there, why would you choose Spiritual Guidance Kung Lao? And after that last round, I feel like nobody should be asking that question anymore, because that is exactly what we saw. And the only thing cashed out there was the armor-breaking crushing blow. Aside from that, nothing needed. Didn't even really need to spin offensive bar. Of course, right now, not able to spin offensive bar in any way. This is one of the scariest places you could possibly be in the world, in the corner against Sub-Zero, plus with that interactable. And this might not even be a chance to do anything. Okay, here we go. An opportunity. Quarter damage, especially with Spiritual Guidance, gigantic.
I think this is definitely going to be just taking it for what he can get, understanding you're likely going to have to concede the round, and that's exactly going to happen. But the big victory there for H-Dope was that he got himself out of the corner. But expect a competitive series with these two. I haven't seen H-Dope's Kung Lao in some time, and I've never seen him play this variation before, so it's good to see this in action. Is it going to be enough to conquer that Russian Sub-Zero, though? He's become such a master of the character in such a short space of time. Oh,
okay, here we go. What can he get? Should be pretty big. Oh, again breaks the armor. It's just something that doesn't seem like maybe the start is as familiar with it. That's just not the time you want to do that. But look at this, gets another opening, and you can just see how much damage everything does. But speaking of damage, Rising Ice, one of the strongest, scariest combo starters in the game.
A foul! I was about to say a fantastic block on the overhead, and wait a minute. H-Dope takes that first game, and I have to say, the spiritual guidance, and not just that, the possessed hat actually, being able to extend on block to be in a much better situation too. This is why I love H-Dope. And again, I don't know what it is about the Greek brothers, right, that they get a lot of heat, even H-Dope, because H-Dope played Shiva at a time where Shiva was not a very popular character to watch with the audience, even though he didn't play around the stomp at all, but he still got flack. He plays Cetrion, gets flack for that, but he has a creative mind, and it's a lot of fun to watch when he plays these characters with variations that aren't popular. You know, that first game of, you don't see Spiritual Guidance Kung Lao almost ever. And when you do, it's always a treat. And H-Dope's bringing this one out only in game one. You know, we're not going to run before we can walk. Desarted could, and very well might, bring this one back. But exploration, it can be key sometimes. And I love that creativity from H-Dope.
Yeah, I mean, that's just the biggest thing for H-Dope, right? Is that it's one of the few players willing to, like, take these big risks with saying, like, I think this is better than people think it is. I'm going to show you exactly why. And especially when you're a player who does have, you know, for example, like a Cetrion that you're very comfortable with, willing to use, to be able to go to a spiritual guidance variation off the bat is a pretty surprising thing. Not unheard of. There are a few players, like, for instance, Sagat in the Oceania region. Oh, my gosh. Using the cancel so well. Oh, that was a sick combo. That's a sick combo. Oh, almost.
The cancels of the spiritual guidance in the stagger game. What is this rushdown of Kung Lao?
It's because I said H-Dope was a more defensive brother, and he had to prove me wrong. Because right now there is no defense. It is all offense.
Look, Chef, we're sitting here saying what is going on. I think Desarted probably feels the same way. This has got to be a matchup that he is not particularly versed in. The cancels are coming out. Oh, he knows it's not real. Oh my good lord.
So smart. And again, just all the combos in the world. All right, went for the stagger, but Desarted's like, I'm tired of this. It's my turn. All right, needs to find another opening, though.
Another jump in. The stagger game once more, letting this whole string go. The sweep at the end. Oh, there's a good catch, though. You want to press? Eat my back three. And the chance now for Desarted. He's got to do something, man. He's got to stabilize. Nice again.
This is a great way to stabilize. Oh, yeah, that should be it. Not going to cash out here. Yep, just going to go for the slide, of course. That would have been a gigantic waste, but okay, that's a good start, right? Sometimes all it takes is just one moment where you're like, okay, I slowed the pace down. I'm in control now. This is my game. Oh,
down three's coming out. The stagger game, they have a similar sense of rushdown right now. There's the punish. He knows he's greedy with the meter.
That was extremely hard read. Yeah, no amplify, that's good. Oh, but hits with again, just these tiny little hits.
Nice confirm. Desarted will take those. Nice anti-air. Unfortunately, though, no deep freeze, right? So we can't confirm it. Oh, ouch.
I like that, going for the double down too, keeping it pretty much unbreakable. And now just needs to find, oh, no punish. The air axe was just a little bit too late. Wow, super far range grab. Oh, he sat there for so long holding it. So much respect from Desarted.
You say respect, it could be fear, given the fact that Fatal Blow is a thing. Finally finds it. Oh, the fast sweep and the grab. I don't think he's got KB.
Oh, throwing up the emphasis. Oh, what a challenge. What a challenge. Just trying to catch the anti-air. Could have gotten some free pressure, but that's where the patience really comes into play. Great call. Calling out the dive kick. And that's going to be, I think, a really good way for Desarted to get back into this game, because he was looking to be very much playing from the back foot. And even still, it feels to me like H-Dope is controlling the pace of the match. It's just Desarted is making the right calls more.
Yeah, what H-Shape did at the end of that match looks incredibly reckless there, but we're all realizing they had no defensive bar. I think every single one of us was waiting for that slide. And that's something H-Dope did not want to have to gamble with. But absolute props of Desarted for, no pun intended, keeping his cool. And in that situation, just he blocked everything because he's like, look, I can afford to take a throw. He is extremely weak. All I realistically need is that one opportunity to create a position where he's going to be nervous and he has to do something. And that's exactly what happened. H-Dope was forced into jumping. He had to be psychic to know a slide wasn't coming and stay on the ground. And against any Sub-Zero, I don't think anyone would do that. And Desarted just waited. And he has a game on the board now because of it. This is a great set. I'm having a good time. My favorite set of the day so far.
Yeah, well, the first one that we've seen go to 1-1, so already the closest set of the day. But I am certainly glad that we did get a chance to hold on a little bit longer and wait for Desarted to come back and get this. Or I should say Desarted's power to come back. Now, one thing that I'd like to see a little bit more with this variation is the somewhat zoning, you could call it, from the spiritual guidance, because it can control a little bit of space. And it might be kind of unsafe to slide, but we haven't even seen the threat of it yet. Which means that you don't ever have to worry about it. Oh, there we go. Big punish.
And what I like about this, too, is that normally when you confirm that kind of move into the spin, it does make it easier to break away. Whereas if you spiritual guidance launch into anything else, there's a much larger output of unbreakable damage. Oh, wait a minute.
Oh, no, the right read. That would have killed. Oh, just a little bit too late. Yeah.
He definitely had the right idea there, Chef. The button press or lack of. Again, what is going on?
Oh! He delayed long enough that it came back. Finally, it's gonna work. Third time's the charm. Didn't get the first two opportunities for crush or for fatal blow, but hey, we take those. We take those.
Can't block forever. Punish.
Yeah, that's a nice
waits
dive
for low
kick.
poke. Oh my lord! Desarted's defense. When he finally does press, he looks highly uncomfortable. I wonder if there is just a lot of blocking going on because of the doubt almost that he's experiencing.
Yeah, I wonder if we could see more grabs, right? I mean, this pressure's working so well. Oh, that was a big
Risky.
risk.
Very much so. Definitely not worth it either, as that's going to give Desarted fantastic damage. Spend the KB just to put himself in a favorable position. I respect it.
Well, I like the air axe zoning. You can kind of dive kick over it, but it's a lot harder. I'd say that's one of the better air projectiles in the entire game. Recovers so
escape
quickly.
Failed, Chef.
Uh-oh. No anti-air.
Down 3. Good tech there from Desarted. Fantastic job.
Yeah, that answers my question on whether or not there could be more throws. Oh, and so much patience. Just the defense from Desarted so good, but like you said, it's when he finally presses a button, he's still wrong, right? That's the tough part.
What's H-Shape going to go for in this situation? Ooh. Looks to advance. Maybe almost with punishing the forward 4 was the attempt, perhaps. The jump in!
Wow, weird conversion, but really good. It's bringing it down to chip potential.
Oh, the respect! Again, too much respect. It almost feels like fear to me, Chef.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense that it's fear, right? You can get so much potential damage off of every single hit. I mean, we saw 320 damage, meterless, off of just a normal confirm. That's so much more damage than most characters even get for one bar. So, yeah, just being that afraid of those scary Kung Lao normals into that much damage makes sense. But you're just not able to find an answer. You don't have an opportunity to find a time to poke out. It's scary.
And it's the extension of what spiritual guidance is giving him, because he's having a strong stagger game on its own anyway. And even without spiritual guidance, it's working well for him, especially that 2-1 string. The existence of spiritual guidance on top of that, being able to go into it and cancel, sometimes he doesn't cancel it. It is very... I think when you look at this matchup, it's one of those things where it's like, he's playing base mix-ups fine, and then you have the stance on top, which clearly Desarted's like, I am not 100% confident of what he's going to do at the end of this, which is why when he tries to press, it's plus, gets hit by down 3. Doesn't try and press, nothing happens, goes into spiritual guidance, cancels, tries to press, gets hit. Like, there are so many layers to what we're seeing right now, but there has now been a change to Shang Tsung, and this is not a good matchup for Kung Lao normally. Can't say I've seen him use spiritual guidance against Shang before.
Yeah, I honestly do not know the interactions here. Now, I think that the, oh, nice, there we go, the raw lift. So hard for Kung Lao to punish, too, from that, like, full max range. You have to be really ready for it. But one thing is that the projectile that we haven't seen, it's kind of like a ground projectile from the Spiritual Guidance, I think is not considered a projectile, so it will beat Smoke Shake, I think. Don't quote me on that.
Wow, the delay into the down one. I think it is now, in fact. Oh, there's the duck. Knowledge. Let's actually not forget K-Top does actually play Shang Tsung as well, and I've no doubt they've run this matchup a bunch. Desarted, definitely one of the absolute masters of the morph Shang, though, it has to be said.
Yeah, and this is the first time that I think we've seen this Shang on broadcast in a while. You know, it has played it a good amount in the tournaments off stream, but it's nice to see. Still has it. Still's got it. Playing very patient, though. This is a much more defensive, like, play style than we're used to seeing, I think, from Desarted Shang. But you got to do what you got to do in this situation.
The absolute just blocking nature here of Desarted. Whiffing the Ermac lift, but I think the H-Dope is still a little bit uncomfortable. Oh, the cancel! That's going to immediately come out and allow the grab to work. Meaty forward one, but there's that jumpkin option select always. The Ermac on the other end of it. Desarted, back to business. Oh, neutral duck.
Wow, didn't even, I think just expected the breakaway pretty quickly right there. So didn't go for as much damage as he technically could have, I think. Oh, only down one. Could have been a lot worse. So getting the throw ducked. Oh, and back to the patience. Oh, and look at this. Now, H-Dope willing to be patient. Again, I'm so surprised that we're not seeing the projectile. Oh, the double dash up throw, and that's going to be chip territory. All right, defensive bar, though, is full. How do you escape this? Oh, my gosh. Oh, there we go. That should be in a fatal blow, right? Oh, no.
I think he might have been too far away, but it does not matter. Now, one thing H-Dope has not been going for at all is the Spiritual Guidance keep away. He hasn't used, the only move he's used from Spiritual Guidance so far has been cancel and launch. Like, you know, we're full screen, Desarted is very, very weak. Let's not forget, you've got the kind of almost ground pound nature of it. You've got the straight projectile that comes out. I know that the it's definitely not the fastest move in the world. So the shake is definitely going to be something that H-Dope will fear in this situation, but I do wonder if that is just the reason he doesn't use it, you know, because even against Sub-Zero, he didn't use it.
Yeah, well, like I said, I think that it's considered not a projectile, right? Like so many of the kind of like tracking projectiles in the game. So I think you can go through shake, but again, don't quote me on it. But we haven't seen him go to that option at all. And the thing is, too, even if it is a projectile, you're doing it out of a stance, right? So you can go into the stance from full screen. If your opponent's like, oh, they're gonna projectile, you use the shake, and then you just sit and you wait and you punish the shake on reaction with it. But you know what? We're not going to see that interaction at all. We're going to see the switch to the Joker. Interesting.
Yes, we will. I didn't think that H-Dope was going to stick with Kung Lao for very long against Shang Tsung. I know it's often a matchup that Kung Lao players just do not enjoy. And with that change and H-Dope winning the first game meant that he has kind of got the luxury of that final character pick. Whether the Joker is going to be the key for him, I guess we'll just have to wait and see. But hell yeah. Game 5. I'm happy to see it with these two. It's good to see H-Dope back as well. We haven't seen them in very long and Desarted. It's nice watching this Shang Tsung put in the work again. I missed it. Nice flawless block.
Yeah, I mean, this is, I feel like people who've only been watching for a few months, watching MK or watching these tournaments for a few months, don't know, but like this really is what Desarted was super well known for. Even back before Custom Variations was known as the morphing Shang Tsung. When everybody else was playing a more zoning-based Shang Tsung, this was his style. So yeah, I love seeing it as well. Oh my gosh, the backdash! Oh, that was so good. So good.
And that double dash in for the pressure. The bait. I've never seen a Joker player use Fatal Blow Cancel to bait a button before, as in whiff punish. That was a first for me. Speaking of which, though, you're the throw tech. H-Dope. No, can't survive it. Desarted on a very, very close match point. We'll see if we can pull this big win off in the first round of winners.
Yeah, that's impressive. Honestly, I've never seen that ever, the backdash from it to actually get a bait and whiff punish. But still managing to win the round when that happens to you is a pretty good feeling, probably.
Opened up, and he's looking for the Ermac confirm. That's going to be decent damage.
Oh, no. I think that was just a little bit of a late reaction, I think. I don't think he was actually reading the slide, even though we do tend to see that a good amount. But, oh no, things are falling apart. The Joker pick not working quite as well as he wanted to, and now he's in risk of chip. All right, he's got the pressure, he's got the fatal blow cancels, but oh no, they're all gone, and look at that, the chip's gonna happen. No defensive bar, no escape. The Joker did a good amount of work, but overall, it just didn't seem like the pick at the end, and I'm so happy that we got to see Disarted come back, and we haven't seen this for a while.
I love this fatality so much. Kintaro.
Giddy.
That's gotta be the best fatality in the game for me. It's like, you're just not expecting it. Well, all of us that saw the Shokan arms in the trailer did expect it, but not in that fashion. But it got to be said, you know, those character changes were a lot of fun to watch. H-Dope showcasing, I think, still the power that spiritual guidance Kung Lao can bring forward. And even against the Shang Tsung, you know, he still made it look nice and competitive. But Disarted, man of the hour, just bringing out that Shang Tsung at the last minute and still showcasing that he's the master of the morphs, I think. And it means that we're actually going to get, if I recall, we're going to have K-Top versus Disarted as our next round of winners. So from one brother to another, I suppose, with these two. And then it'll be a Scorpion Mirror in the first match. So I think that's going to be our next one, is Mirko versus Javier, and then K-Top versus Disarted. I mean, what a demonstration of what we have in EU and CIS right now.
It's such a weird set of characters that we've got, but I mean, honestly, every single player today extremely strong, and yeah, I think it's a great representation of it. But we're just seeing these players really kind of like hone down their character choices, right? That's one big thing that we've seen before, is players switching around a lot, especially when you have people like the twins, right? Like K-Top, like H-Dope. They have so many picks, but when they start to solidify down to just a few, it really shows the reward. And I think that might have been one of the issues here, is that the Joker was looking clean, but it just didn't seem like he was as in the flow of the game as he was after playing Kung Lao for quite a while. But again, he's not out of it. Still got another chance for sure. And like you said, it is going to be the other twin up against Disarted now. But before that, we are going to be moving on to the top of the bracket, where, like you said, we assume it's going to be a Scorpion Mirror, but we don't actually know. I think we kind of have to just wait and see. Side note, H-Dope and Mr. Ramirez playing first round of lower bracket. That's a rough one.
Yes, indeed. I'm kind of curious to see how that one goes, really, or what character we see. H-Dope could go with the Kung Lao off stream. I don't know whether that was just a Sub-Zero specific pick. I guess only time will tell. But as we now jump into Mirko versus Javier, definitely expect a Scorpion Mirror. They've gone back and forth in the past. I guess all Scorpions this side of the world tend to. But it doesn't often be a Scorpion Mirror for long. Sometimes one of them will change at the very end, and for Mirko that's been Jackie a couple of times, and sometimes it's been enough to get a win. Again, it depends on the player and the character, obviously, but I think we'll start with a Scorpion Mirror. I do strongly think we'll start with the Mirror.
Yeah, I don't know why, but that's just always how it plays out, right? When the really good Scorpions play against each other, it's like always they start with Scorpion. They're like, okay, yeah, let's just see how this goes. But then when it gets down to the end, like every Scorpion has some weird counter pick that we almost only see in those situations. Like, for example, like Mercer would sometimes go to the Cetrion in the end of these sets, or like you said, the Jackie coming out of Mirko. So it's weird that they play it that way, but it just constantly plays out in that manner. So I do have to agree with you. I'm going to expect the Scorpion Mirror to begin with, and it's a really weird mirror, right? Because you're playing such a strong defensive character that takes such good advantage of like reactions and baiting your opponent to do something, that you almost don't want to press anything. You want them to be the one to press something, but you have to push your advantage at some point. So it can be a little bit weird and awkward to know, like, when is the time that I should move in, when is the time that I should play patient. But that's what these two players are so good at, right? The reason why they are some of the most successful Scorpions in the entire region. So I actually don't think can remember them playing, at least not for a long time.
I believe it's the same variation. I think it's exactly the same. Teleport, cancel, and spear buff, and they have such a similar style. It makes sense. This is, I think, the purest example of may the best man win today. One of these two players guaranteed to make their way into winners finals, which is that minimum top 3 finish. Not too shabby, but both these players capable of winning the tournament, so I don't think it's going to end at top 3 for them.
Oh no, they're certainly all capable. Honestly, everybody today is capable of winning the tournament, and most of them have, honestly. But okay, there we go. That's a great start from Javier, just leading with the 4-3 into teleport. Of course, you do have a little bit of time to confirm on the teleport whether or not you want to cancel it, and he saw it hit, so he's just taking the momentum. This is going to be a little bit tough to keep track of who's who when they're teleporting around. Of course, the more classic-looking outfit will be Javier, and I guess it's the Mortal Kombat 9 outfit, right? Is Mirko.
Absolutely, which I find kind of funny that in this mirror alone, we did just see Javier doing that forward 3, of which he buffered into a teleport and got a pretty much 40% damage confirmed. So impressive stuff right there.
That was a very fast first round. I mean, it felt like it just started and immediately ended. But, I mean, honestly, great start from Javier. Mirko, though, looking like he's got a little bit more of a sense of it. He's like, well, okay, that started off bad for me. I need to take some time to adjust, but hold on. I'm still here. Or maybe not.
Forces the breakaway in that forward 3-4, but at the same time, no damage taken, and that forward 3-4 becomes a lot less threatening now. Forces the Scorpion player to do forward 3 into teleport pretty much every time, which will be a tight confirm on hit. No with punish.
With the scariest forward 3 spear. Oh, nice. Good confirm. Gonna spend 2 bars, seeing there's no defensive bar to break. And now Chip is, oh, I like it. Standing to dash up 1-1. That was almost air pickup he needed, but okay, the huge opportunity to come back. Now, this is not going to kill, I don't think. I think it's just barely out of the range of it. But this is going to be now down to 1 hit. And when they both have teleport, this is so scary. Oh, Chip. No. Oh, so close to being able to chip out right there, but not quite. And I'm expecting that this is going to be a very good set. That's going to be very close.
Oh, the immediate jump in. Oh, and that's going to give him so much damage as well. Mirko. No break from Javier, saving the bar. No doubt going to need that. Unfortunately, 2-1-2 is going to guarantee that free spear buff activation. Mirko, off the back of a rough... Oh! I don't think he fully believed in it, though. No punish. I said it was a punish, sorry. Didn't commit to it.
Yeah. Didn't go for the full thing. I mean, but great knowledge. And that's why this matchup is so weird, too, right? Is that it's so hard to check your opponent with anything, including Sphere from even full screen, where most characters can't punish it at all. Oh, I love this issue of down 1 from Mirko. It's been really, really successful. We saw that earlier from him, using the down 1 almost like a footsies tool, but he's been using it as well as like with empty jump into down 1, so I think trying to bait flawless blocks, just a lot of weird ways.
Expecting disrespect, I imagine. 2-1 into down 1. You can see what I mean by these two could absolutely have a game 5. They're just so unbelievably back and forth and evenly matched. But there's the forward 3, and uh-oh, wait a minute. Doesn't spend it.
I think maybe he just didn't quite have it, but okay, we're down to only about 5 seconds left, but the dunk of the grab! Mirko, one of the least grabbable players, I think, of all time in Mortal Kombat 11. I'd have to say it. I have seen so many games going down to the fact that people just are unable to get a successful grab off on him.
But at the same time, he just hits a million grabs against you. It goes into that 6th sense that I was talking about. 7 seconds on the clock at the end. That could have gone either way. Super sweaty, and somehow Mirko able to make the right decision at the right time. It's that display of clutch that makes him such a legendary European player at this point. And Scorpion, a nice pick for that. But one hell of a mirror to already kickstart things. Same variations.
Yeah, I think there was a reason why we got a bunch of 3-0s earlier today, and it's because now, from this point out, we're just going to get a bunch of really close down-to-the-wire matches, including this one. It's going to go down to probably almost time a decent amount of times, you know. Like I said, these Scorpion's not really the character that opens you up super easily. There's the ability, you know, for the throws and the staggers and the back 3s, but realistically, it's not going to be Sub-Zero levels of if you're blocking, you might just be losing. So we could see them just playing patient, respecting each other's plus frames, which we kind of did see at that point, and, you know, getting down to time just because they're not getting that damage on each other.
Now, a bit of an unusual start so far. A couple of opportunities where punishes could be had, but I think they're both kind of erring on the side of caution. Obviously, there will be a lot of respect between these two players. And look, you buff, I buff then. All right, then.
Oh my gosh, respect is really the name of the game. I mean, you said it. Look at that, they're just waiting. Oh, unsafe. Wow, knowing that you could standing one punish that, very impressive. That looked like that would have been out of range to me. I would have never tried that, but they know, they're used to it.
That was definitely a missed place back too, expecting it to get blocked, right? So you can go into teleport, but if you're just not at the right distance, first hit misses and the second one, you just die. Ooh, lovely tight confirm, Javier. That's not going to kill, but he's going to come close to it. Chip damage. The reversal grab, dragging him, and the corner side switch. Wait a second. Mirko, this has to work. Oh, never mind. Never mind. Overhead.
Yeah, that was a great call. So, I mean, that's such a slow option to do in that situation, but it shows that, like, it's like, I know that you are going to respect me, so I'm going to not respect you in that own weird way, right? And that's what so much of this matchup is made of. Nice crushing blow. Going to get the full conversion. No defensive bar. Just about to build. Probably going to cash on the crushing blow. Yup. Right as defensive bar comes back. Oh, no, sorry, that was the other side, but about to come back. That's a lot of damage to lead by.
We have to take it step by step right now as the jump in grab begins what could be a comeback here for Mirko. Back to back, make that another. Now he has got defensive bar, so he can afford to get hit at least one more time. But with every hit, oh, the side switch. What a read there from Javier. And there it is. No, doesn't confirm. Oh. Execution error.
Oh, and no punish on the spear. I think there could have at least been a teleport. But okay, here's an opportunity. Oh, what a big risk. And I mean, you got to take it, I guess, at that point. You got to try something when you're down by that much life, especially as time was ticking down. I didn't see exactly how much it was, but that was a pretty long round. So, like I said, we're making up for how much time we saved on all the 3-0s earlier today. This is going to be down to the wire. I still think that we have the opportunity for them to go to one of those weird switch counter picks, but I think at this point they are going to want to stick with the Scorpion mirror. I don't think it's a mirror that usually the Scorpions like, because they don't want to have to deal with the stuff that they do to other people, but I think they want to win it, right? For their own pride, at least. Oh, no, I lied. Well, okay. This is not the one I expected, though. This is not the pick I expected.
But you almost never see Mirko change characters unless it's the mirror. That's always what I find the most interesting thing about him, is that when he changes characters, it's always only ever when he fights Scorpion, which is either against Mercer or Javier, and that's it. Now, what variation? The air glide and charging Hellspawn, man's just locking in the one in this situation, which ain't too uncommon in Ultimate. Some players still really enjoy the combination of air glide, but how does Mirko use it?
I mean, I think we've seen this once before from Mirko, if I recall correctly, and I seem to recall he was using it quite well, actually as like an air bait as well as in combos, which is, you know, of course, both very important. But we'll see. Oh, I love that tech animation. Kind of slaps him with the cape, like, get off of me. Oh, I did it again. Oh.
But both times he got hit after.
Oh, I know. But it's still a great animation. I want to see Mirko play this character more just so I can see that little cape slap.
With just how many throw techs he does. Unfortunately, though, getting opened up once again. Mirko just getting rushed down by Javier so far. So many counter hits. The wake-up roll into the down one, actually. Just a bit of a turn stealer. Now, plenty of work left to go. But if there's one character that can explode your life bar, Spawn is the one to do it. Speak of which.
Yeah, especially if you're spending defensive bar on cancels. That can be one of the scariest things to do in this matchup. But, of course, he has to hit you first. And so far, that's not really happening. We're just getting these tiny little hits here and there, which doesn't really take advantage of the scariness of Spawn. We'll see if he can kind of readapt, get back used to the character. You know, of course, any time that you switch to a character mid-set, you gotta take a little bit of time to get used to it. Oh, big crushing blow.
But a wonderful read from Javier. It looked very reckless. Whoa! Kind of doing a down two like that, but he was expecting a 1-1 meaty, which is a high, right? So 44% for that. That is so good. That is not the fatal phantasm Mirko wanted, because that's a full punish. This Spawn pick looking kind of uncomfortable, honestly, Chef. Hey!
Yeah, oh, great way to end that one out, actually. Just using up 3, knowing that it was just enough to kill. But yeah, I mean, we saw a few moments where it seemed like the Spawn was shining, but you know, again, especially if you've been playing one character an entire tournament and you make a switch, it's not going to be the easiest thing in the world to get into the flow with that character. I think we saw a similar thing with the Joker from H-Dope earlier, but it can be something you can commit to and try to make it work. So I'm curious to see if we are going to see the spawn again, right? Because there was, for example, like it looked like that round was going to kind of go well, and then there was that one big input error, that one big mistake that just led to the entire thing running away from him. So I want to see, are we going to see the spawn again? No, we're not, and that's a big disadvantage, because now you've essentially just given away a game for free in a mirror that's already tough, right? And that's the worst place to give away a match for free.
That's very much what happened. I mean, he went in for the spawn pick, and it didn't look kind of all the way there. It might not be particularly practiced at the moment, especially seeing as there were some execution errors there, just using like down back 3 on block, which is death. You never see that, but if you don't play a character or keep them that much up to scratch, that kind of thing can happen. Now, in this position, going in with the Searing Rage, it's his last-ditch effort, but he has a lot more work to do than his opponent. Javier just unfazed and continuing to just play this absolute high-level Scorpion that I just never get tired of seeing. However, the forward 3 game escape failed. I mean, there's only so much information you can have in this part of the screen. Lets it rock, but the punish doesn't commit, though. Mirko looking a little bit shaky, which is not like him, Chef.
Yeah, I know. Usually his confidence is just the strongest, I think, in the entire scene. But, well, I mean, okay, right now looking good. But, I mean, the rest of the set, it does feel like Mirko's been a little bit, like, second-guessing himself. But, hey, maybe this is all it takes, right? One good round, and sometimes you're like, okay, wait a minute, what am I doing? Why was I losing before?
Well, that's one way to bring yourself back into the action as one round going on the board here for Mirko. Couple more of those and he'll be in business. Javier still just needs that one game, of which he gets a nice neutral jump kick to start things off. But the blocks, the defense, Mirko not wanting to get opened up just yet. Oh, you want to try and full spot my forward 3-4. Eat this chain, buddy.
Oh, and again, the down ones, although this time from Javier. Maybe, you know, that's one of the neat things about, like, mirrors, is even when you have, oh my gosh, that was a great bait on that down 2. Amazing shimmy, but only got the back 3. What I was going to say was you tend to see people kind of take on, like, traits of the opponent during these really high-level mirrors. If it's something that they weren't doing before, they're like, wait a minute, let me try that, and it just works.
Wow, the staggers too. Mirko getting himself a grab on the board. A little bit more of that and it'll be good. Empty jump down 3, the breakaway, the last opportunity Javier has to break in this round. Now he does confirm the 1-1. I like that. So many Scorpions in that situation would just stick out the 1-1-2, right? You want to be safe on block, you want to get the knockdown on a hit, but Javier wants more. And if he feels like it's going to hit, he's got that confirm ready to go. The fatal blow getting spent to save his skin, but just like that now, he brings himself into that match point. And one more round, Spain will be in winners finals.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, just looking at their past results, I'd say Mirko, you know, is probably honestly the favorite to maybe win this entire tournament. But this is such a good showing from Javier, and yeah, big whiff. Oh, a nice little pickup in the corner.
I think I've seen a million whiffs right now. Oh, give me that up too. The launch.
Oh, could have gone for the 2-on-2 crushing blow there, maybe? Maybe it's not enough hits, actually. All right, is it going to be that? No, it's not back in the corner. That's just a forward throw. He's going to have to switch sides here. Nope, just going to try to find his way out. Well, there we go. That's not the way you want to switch sides, though. The teleport. And now it's just one hit. Oh, that back to almost anti-air. This is a great conversion, but it leaves the opponent really far away, and it's only going to just about even up the life totals here. Maybe not even quite.
But with 1 bar of meter left to go, it creates a situation. Wake up option, and that's exactly why he is keeping his distance there. Wake up roll. Oh, Mirko. Oh, the walk up grab. Just like that. The down 2 that whiffed almost got him killed. Wake up standing 1, and the short. Oh my good lord, we're going into a game 5 here, Chef, but that was a sweat fest.
Okay, so that final moment, that final short hop 3, right? I think the big thing there was, I think that was a little bit of a statement, because I think that was an attempt to flawless block up 3, which is exactly the way that Javier killed him in the previous game, right? To end it. So I think he was trying to say, okay, you did that to me, I'm doing it to you. But then no normal came out, and as we've seen before, when there's no normal that comes out in a flawless block read, you oftentimes get the short hop 3 or the short hop 2, depending on what option they're trying to go for. So I think that was like him trying to make a statement. And I think that says a lot about his confidence going into like this final game here, because you want to take those moments and be like, yeah, this is a mirror. I'm going to do what you did, but better.
Hard to call who's going to win this one, though, because the change to this Searing Rage, there's just something about Mirko where it kind of acts as a secret weapon, or I guess in this situation, a not so secret weapon, because he does it almost every single time we see him. in PlayStation tournaments, but it works out for him. Gives him the extra rushdown, give him the extra levels of unpredictability that you definitely need. And if the teleport cancel doesn't do much for you, then just go for damage and pressure. That's exactly what Mirko does.
Yeah, it's so funny. We see him basically do better with Searing Rage constantly and never start with Searing Rage. But, I mean, it makes sense. You know, the teleport cancel is really useful in a lot of matchups, but it's like, no matter what, even if he's won a set with a 3-0 comeback with Searing Rage, he will not pick it immediately in the next set with that person. But here we go. So it's showing off again.
Yeah, getting himself a jump kick and able to get that much damage. Not too shabby. In this instance, I think looking to whiff punish perhaps, but caught by the attack he's trying to punish. Both players now spear buff activated.
Oh, well, that was a weird pickup. I don't know what the best option there was. Maybe a forward 3 after that down 1. But we've seen a lot of those weird little, like, catching you on the way up moments or weird conversions in this matchup because they're throwing out so many normals, I think. And eventually, you know, we were just throwing back normals back and forth. You're bound to get some weird hits or a really solid hit just like that. And, of course, going to get the side switch, take that corner positioning.
Again, he wants to whiff punish so bad, but Javier is not committing. Wait. Standing button fatal blow. That's going to do big damage. I know he got it off the spear, so it often does scale, but I feel like that's not going to matter here. Let's see.
Yeah,
4%
I think it's enough. Oh, no, I was wrong. I really thought it was enough, but he's got Searing Rage. He's got Searing Rage. That's it. That is it. Yeah, that was going to be so difficult to possibly deal with. He knew that the Wake Up 3 was coming, but again, another great strength of the Searing Rage. Almost could have done it from a range outside of the up 3 range, but there we go. Mirko now on match point after looking pretty uncomfortable. As usual, the Searing Rage coming in clutch, and look at that. Walking back full screen, then getting a free throw. Oh my gosh, he's just controlling neutral right now. Although, as I say, that big hit from Javier, and he needs to run with this.
Oh, they had the same idea. But Javier a little bit faster with that forward 3.
Oh, the sending 2 staggers.
Hang on a minute, Chef. Escape failed here. Mirko.
Uh-oh.
The down 1, I mean, he's so used to squeezing out down 1 after that string on block that Javier returning the favor seems a bit poetic.
Oh, big combo here, and now it's going to lead into a mix-up situation where the crushing blow is available. What? Okay, empty jump down 3. He was doing the down 1 for that earlier, but the down 3 works as well. And he's just getting little bits of damage here and there. That's a ton of damage. He's getting close to chip kill territory with that Searing Rage. Oh, no, it's not going to be enough. It's not going to be enough. Oh, no. Oh, no. I knew it immediately. Immediately. And that should be enough with the fatal blow this time. No question. Just needed a little bit more chip. There wasn't any defensive bar, so I understand it. But, yeah, there was just maybe one more hit of chip to make it happen. And now we're on final round.
No breaker for Javier, and so gone is the fatal blow. That is a bad way to start the round. Keeping himself alive is what matters, but still Mirko's gone into this round with one hell of an advantage. No flawless block, though. He's not going to let this one rock. Miscalculating chip, one of the most heartbreaking ways to go down, but will Mirko be able to rise above that? No pun intended. Straight into winners finals. There's... Whoa, good damage. The jump back, though, but no! Too early on the teleport, and it whiffs completely.
Really needed that conversion so badly. And I mean, even if there wasn't a teleport, that could have been a conversion just because it wasn't air to air. But now Javier needs to find another big opening and then another big opening. Nice, good opportunity to use the buff. Oh, but it's not going to matter. That's enough damage. It never looks like it's going to be enough, but that is as much damage as you can get. And Mirko, I think, really adapting well to the matchup, more so the mental matchup even than anything else, because he was looking lost and then he found his way.
Wonderful showing from both players. I think no matter who won that final game, I think we can sit here as viewers and be happy about it. These are the two finest European Scorpions, and that has been proven over a couple of years worth now, especially when we've been in this online realm of tournament play. They prove it. The proof is in the pudding, as we say here in the UK. And we got a fantastic showing and a masterclass of how to play Scorpion at this level of play. Now, enough of that, though, because we actually have our next matchup. K-Top versus Desarted. Another 1v1 that just echoes through recent time, I think, with MK11 Chef. They play together all the time.
I just want to be clear that the proof is in the pudding is also said over here, but maybe it did originate from over there. Yeah, definitely, absolutely.
You definitely stole that from us. I'm sure of it. I'm gonna look it up online.
We've technically stolen everything, right, that we have, right? That's technically how it works. But yeah, so regardless of that, this next matchup is one that I'm very excited for. Discarded versus K-Top, and this I think was in fact 2 grand finals in a row. Correct me if I'm wrong, anybody who can remember correctly, but I do believe that K-Top came out on top against Discarded. Oh, well, I guess just, you know, it's not in here, 2 of the Open Series. So the previous PlayStation tournaments, that's a weird way to say that. But in the Open Series over the past couple of months, it was K-Top versus Discarded. K-Top winning the first one, and then Discarded winning the second one. So this is becoming a little bit also of a rivalry, as now apparently K-Top just has to fight a bunch of rivalry matches over and over. In fact, if he wins this, he's going to go fight Mirko, which is yet another one. So one of the hardest paths, I think, if K-Top manages to win today, I will say it's one of the hardest paths I've ever seen in the top 8, but definitely had a good start to the day, so I believe.
You know what's crazy to me is that you can see it at the top of your screens, though, folks. This is warm-up rounds. Like, that's what I find even more incredible, is that we have this much of a stacked bracket, with players bringing this much to the table. And this is only the beginning. There's plenty more where that came from. I want to remind everyone, compete.playstation.com. It's how you get involved in all things PlayStation tournaments. It's how all of these players signed up. It's how they continue to sign up, continue to play. And up next, we have the back and forth of Disarted and K-Top. So should be a really fun matchup, and I'm really excited for it. I think it's likely to be Jackie still from K-Top. Disarted, it has been Sub-Zero recently for him. We've seen a lot more Sub-Zero coming out from Disarted against K-Top, I think, in the recent PlayStation tournaments. Mostly, I think, has been Open Series, if I recall, the last time I saw them go head-to-head. But still time to find it. Looks like the people narrowly favor K-Top, but that is only a small percentage, only 8 extra% on almost being halfway. So we'll take those.
Yeah, now, I would normally expect Jackie, and I think that might still be the smart pick, but just seeing how the Cabal was looking from K-Top in that last set, I think stronger than it's ever looked before, and we know that it's a pick that he likes going to, and when you're on a roll like that, I think sometimes you just try it again, and I think Cabal is one of those characters where you don't really have a matchup that you don't want to play Cabal in, you know what I'm saying, which is also can be somewhat similar with Jackie. There might be a few for both of them, but overall, I think that maybe we're going to see K-Top just try to carry on the momentum. However, who knows? You know, maybe we'll see something completely different because he's just one of those players that tend to surprise us. But like you said, the previous times that we've seen this, it has been Jackie versus Sub-Zero. It's a very high-flying match. And I think that one of the biggest things with Sub-Zero in pretty much any player matchup is that all the good players playing in Sub-Zero, they tend to choose their highest damage options, right? So they choose to go to like the Searing Rage when we see Mirko play against it, or when we see what's another good example? I don't know. I can't really think of too many others, but we've seen it a bunch of times before. You want to get your maximum punishes. This might be a hidden cursor. They might have to go to hidden cursor here, or Disarted just going to commit.
Surely it has to, because if K-Top goes Jackie, Disarted could pick Sub-Zero. Or, okay, yeah, so what's happening here is that going straight to Shang Tsung the moment he saw the Cabal means that K-Top understands that it's not a character Disarted is going to ignore in this matchup. So he's going to go Jackie first, because surely against both those characters, he has more faith in the Jackie than the Cabal.
Yeah, well, I mean, you know, he has won in this before. This is at the very minimum going to be like a 50-50 as far as these players go in this record for this matchup. So I think this is a solid pick. And I think the first win is going to be gigantic here because they get that counter pick advantage.
Well, funny you should mention that as we jump into that first matchup anyway. K-Top will be looking to score that first blood, but being able to have that final character change, I think my gut tells me that's going to favor Disarted a lot more. If he has the option to pick Shang Tsung against Cabal, he'll be laughing in that 5th game. Should we get there? However, K-Top starts things off strong. The rushdown begins.
Oh yeah, so scary. And you know, of course, like a lot of the more aggressive versus aggressive matchups, oh my god, down forward slide, you gotta do it. But hey, you know what? K-Top was proving earlier that he was not afraid to do the unsafe stuff with the raw nomad dashes. Oh my gosh, 2-1 hitting over and over. Nothing has been blocked. Oh my gosh. Okay, the breakaway, you gotta find an opportunity to get out of here, and you're not. No defensive bar. That was disgusting. Everything was hitting. K-Top just guessing wrong in every situation.
And being uncomfortable on the defense, which is something that K-Top kind of has as a weakness as a player, right? He's not the tightest player when he has to kind of sit and block. He'll try and kind of squirm his way out. It's what his characters are pretty good at, right? You try and jump out, you buffer it with a button, you buffer that button into a special, whatever it is. But when you're point blank in the corner and your opponent's just pressing away, sooner or later you got to block. And he goes for the big 1-2-4 damage. However, oh, whoa, no confirm.
Don't even need to confirm at this point. Just so many little hits here and there. But okay, here we go. Gonna side switch. Good knowledge. Always ready for it, even when you're being pressured. And look at that. Look at, you know, getting hit by so many tiny little hits, even at 950 HP. And Jack can just make up that damage instantly. That could have been maybe a fatal blow, but there's still the opportunity down one fatal blow, but that's going to be a return, and that's going to be game one. Big risk. I'm surprised that we saw that right there, because it seemed like K-Top was stealing back the momentum, but just kind of gave it away on a gigantic risk.
I'm not surprised because it's K-Top.
Yeah, that's true. That's fair.
He does it all the time. Anyone that's watched a lot of these tournaments knows that down one into fatal blow. I mean, the reason it gets used is because it's part of the plan that you block the down one puts you negative, and you think, right, now it's my turn to press because I've blocked your down one. If you try and press a button afterwards, I hit you. It's just basic frame data, basically. However, if you do down one fatal blow, the down one exists to get you to release block. And then when you release block, boom, here comes this lightning fast fatal blow out of nowhere. The problem is K-Top is known to do that quite a lot. So in this kind of situation, it becomes a bit too predictable. When the chips are down and you're both weak and he's got a fatal blow, you kind of sit and wait for it. It happens a lot now with these players. They'll wait for it. He'll do the down one, he'll do the fatal blow and block, and you punish. And that really is all there is to it. And Desarted, he knows his opponent better than anyone. They've played each other so much in tournament. But now the change to Cabal. From Special Forces to Black Dragon, Cabal might be giving K-Top a bit of an edge here, but we'll see.
Yeah, I'm curious to see if we can see a repeat of the performance from the Cabal earlier. It was a pretty risky playstyle with all the raw nomad dashes, but it was like a 90% success rate. So at that point, we didn't need to see K-Top try to make any adaptation to how many times he was using it. But we might see a little bit more here. Desarted known to be able to play really patient at times, and then once his offense gets going, it's just never ending. And that was a great pickup, by the way, with the down one and the slide.
It's just a player that, as I've said many times, does play for the one hit. You always kind of see rare footage of that forward 2-2-4 actually connecting. It does so little damage on counter hit that a lot of Cabal players would just rather do a standard combo. However, whiffing the sledgehammer, that's going to give him a gigantic punish now as Desarted puts his opponent straight into the corner. Looks like K-Top trying to squirm his way out. I mean, this is kind of what I'm talking about. Not comfortable on defense, and that fatal blow as well.
Who managed to actually get out of the corner with the breakaway, so a little bit of a small victory there, but yeah, this is not going to be easy. In fact, now it's going to be impossible, as now he's got to win 2 rounds straight without losing one. This is tough. This is just looking like it's a 100% Desarted game, and it is so much about just being in the corner and Desarted just not letting him get an opportunity.
Wasting no time with that instant air jump too, though, just in case his opponent is moving forward, and if nothing happens, an air dash comes out regardless. The staggered 1-2 game. Now, he doesn't have deep freeze in this variation, so he's not able to confirm that airborne back 1-4. He knows it. Gets himself a throw at the very least. The respect and patience. But in this case, I really thought K-Top was waiting for that to be counter hit, you know.
Ooh. All right, he needs that damage. Oh, that was a little bit of a weird breakaway. Maybe expecting a little bit more of a combo afterwards, but now he's got no defensive bar. Now it's going to be a tough guess here. Oh, a weird drop. Super weird and unfortunate. Oh. And again, the fatal blow not coming in clutch, and the reverse fatal blow again. Not exactly the same situation as the first game, but very reminiscent of it. And I think these defensive fatal blows have got to go, especially against Desarted, right? It may work against a lot of players, but Desarted's so tight on his timing. It just has backfired too many times.
But that's what it comes down to. You're so used to doing those kind of fatal blows because your opponent is uncomfortable. Your opponent is like the pressure of the situation will get to them. They'll release blocker, a frame or two too early. Then bam, here comes that fatal blow. Desarted's not the kind of player that falls for that trick. He's seen that one before. That's a rerun. He's taken that tape and he sold it at a car boot sale. I think as we go into this next match, there needs to be more solid defense. It's easier said than done against Sub-Zero, sure, but I feel like K-Top is just, in many cases here, he is giving it away. He's giving it to Desarted. And we go now back to Jackie. Has to lock it in all the way now. It's this or nothing. And it's likely the way things are going to be Desarted versus Mirko for our winners finals.
Yeah, I think going back to Jackie seems like the right choice. And, we do know that that K-Top is a bit of a kind of like a momentum-based player as far as the set goes. And I think the fact that he started off with such a, honestly, like kind of an awful round, got cornered, just guessed incorrectly, just like a lot of times, honestly. And it happens to everybody, right? It happens to everybody when it's Sub-Zero in the corner, especially when it's a great play like this started. And, it's not to say that, like, K-Top was playing badly, it just happens. But when you start off that way, it can kind of corrupt the rest of the set. And it does seem like that maybe is what's been happening. But I think if K-Top can get back into this, it is certainly not over.
No throw tech, content to just take the pressure. One of the many strengths of Jackie in this kind of situation. The anti-air down 2, unfortunately not able to pick it up, but buffering into the leap just in case. That's going to give K-Top a decent start. However, that whiff punish on the back 1-4. Oh, looking for the cheeky reset. I mean, worth a go, but not quite going to work out this time. Again, visual bug on the damage over time. Don't worry. The damage was correct. Hence the round ended. I feel like I have to point that out every time.
You certainly do, but I feel like it's been a while since we've seen it also as well. I felt like we used to see it like every day, like multiple times, but yeah, not as many times anymore.
Well, yeah, good start here from K-Top in that first round, and now we're going to get a full combo with opponent in the corner. Meterless, and the short hop into an uppercut in the chin. That wasn't part of the plan.
Oh, but still a chance to fight back here. Oh, actually just barely putting K-Top in a fatal blow range, which is a very scary spot because that means now any conversion is death. But wow. You know what? Goes the same the other way. So match point now for Desarted.
I mean, in that case, it just straight up worked, didn't it? Overhead to connect. Conversion now from Desarted on a confident match point. There goes the KB. Give me that combo, baby.
Oh, just
sure is
pushing
down
the advantage to the corner. Yeah, the down one's so good. Fast, but all right, Crushing Ball's already spent, but it's still going to be massive damage, or it would have been a few uncharacteristic jumps from Desarted today. Unfortunately for K-Top, it's not going to matter. That's going to be an unbreakable kill for sure. And Desarted with the 3-0 to go up and play against Mirko in the in the winners finals. Not quite grand yet.
I really did think that Decide was going to create some ice pop flavors, but instead, turning Jackie's head into an ice pop.
Ew, gross. That is not an ice pop that you'd want. It's like those little
we have a chocolate
ice cream truck. No, I was gonna say, like they have like the gumball eyes. You go to the ice cream truck and there's like cartoon characters' faces and stuff like that, and they've got the gumball eyes and stuff. It's like that, except for way more gross.
It just, when you think of the ice creams that you don't want as a kid, it just reminds me of, I don't know if you get them anywhere else, but in the UK we have these they're like little bricks, and it's like very thin coating of chocolate on the outside, but because they sit in the freezer for so long, the ice cream in the middle just goes like rock hard. It's anyone in the UK, I think, knows that pain. There's like the ice cream truck comes out, you hear the noise, and it's like, oh, I'm gonna go get myself something real nice. And then your mum goes, no, we've got ice creams at home, and that's it. And it's like, ooh, I like it. Puts you off ice cream for a long time. But you know what? A really good showing there from Desarted, and he's able to continue to just, against K-Top in particular, there's just something about, we saw him against H-Dope earlier on today, right, against that spiritual guidance Kung Lao. The confidence was night and day differently. Like he was not looking as, I think, solid anywhere against H-Dope. And then against K-Top, it's like a totally different player. It doesn't even look like the same Desarted, but here we are now, winners finals.
Yeah, I mean, I think it just goes to kind of show the strength of, looking back, that Kung Lao in particular, because this was, like you said, a very dominant game, but that it looks so different, and it's kind of funny because it's kind of the opposite too, because we saw a super dominant, confident game from K-Top in the one previous, and then they both just kind of shifted their gears. You know, K-Top became the less confident one, Desart became the more confident one, but it does set up a matchup that I feel like we've seen about 100 times today, which is going to be Scorpion versus Sub-Zero, potentially in the winners finals. I guess there's no guarantee, but that's certainly what I would expect. And we do see that H-Dope 3-2 over Mr. Ramirez in the first round of the lower bracket. I think that secretly H-Dope is one of the scariest players in this bracket right now, and there's a good chance I think that we're going to see him on broadcast again.
But it's going to be hard to reach that top 4 as K-Top versus B-Boy KO happen off stream. So just for clarity, folks, every match gets on stream from top 4 onwards. So Mirko versus Desarted will be our next matchup. By that time, we should have our top 4 decided as our lower bracket kind of draws to a close, really. And before we go to this break, I want to remind everyone how to get involved in these tournaments. It's compete.playstation.com. Simple as that. Everything that is being done with PlayStation tournaments can be found on the Competition Center. The Evo circuit that's taking place online has a whole bunch of different games. If you want to find out all about that, go to the website. You can find out all the games and how you can get involved. There are these online qualifiers, even for these warm-up rounds, and then tournaments to follow in the future. The not so distant future, actually, so definitely keep your eyes peeled. We're going to go for a bit of an extended break, 10 minutes. We'll see you back with more Mortal Kombat 11. I think it's about time we finish this European side of today's Mortal Kombat action, don't you? My name is Ketchup, joined by Wonder Chef. You're currently watching the EVO warm-up rounds for Mortal Kombat 11. Much of this tournament has taken place, and now we have our winners' finals to figure out who's going to be the first grand finalist of the day. A matchup ripped right out of 1992, as it'll be Scorpion versus Sub-Zero, most likely, if Decided goes in with Sub. But Mirko versus Decided is a fantastic demonstration, I think, of what Europe and CIS Mortal Kombat brings to the table. Off-stream, we have K-Top versus B-Boy KU, and MK Javier versus H-Dope taking place as we speak. And by the time this winners finals is done and dusted, we should very much have a top 4 ready to go. So 4 series left, and we're going to take a bit of a break, transition over to North America. Chef, what do we think?
Ooh, I think that, you know, you said you said that just this winners finals was a great example of what these regions have to offer. I think this has been a great day of that in general. I don't think there's been a single disappointing showing so far today, and you know, Europe is always so fun to watch for me. It's I have to say it, you know,
biased.
You see, I should be biased the other way, and I know that my own region's going to hate me for this, but I always enjoy watching Europe more than I think for North America.
Chef, you're one of us now. You're one of ours.
All right, that's fair. But I mean, how can you not? We've got classic Sub-Zero versus Scorpion in the winners finals, one of them moving up to grand finals. That's just so, you couldn't ask for anything more than that, I think. And when it's players like this who are just so good at the characters, I think really locking down how you're supposed to be playing these characters at the highest level, and then, you know, putting it into effect. It's really easy to say, I think you should play it this way, but actually doing it is something else. And this is, yeah, just such a treat to be able to watch these guys in the winners finals.
Looks like the people are evenly split down the middle on who they think is actually going to take it, though. Mirko 52%, which is barely an advantage. I'm going to call this 50-50, which is ironic, because Sub-Zero is going to be the pick from Decided. I didn't quite catch the variation of Mirko, but I'm sure we'll see it. Ah, Heat Riser, I believe he calls it. And that's the variation that has the spear buff and the teleport cancel. Decided really likes to pioneer that air axe, the rising ice. It just gives him such incredible damage, and then creeping ice on top for extra safety if that's the road you want to go down. But like I said, this is a Mortal Kombat 1992 matchup right here. And did you know back in the day, they actually were 2 of the game's weaker characters. They had pretty bad buttons and stuff like that. But you know what? Enough of that. Let's now jump into a game where they're certainly both decent. As now Mirko scoring first blood.
Yeah, I am very much struggling to imagine them not having good buttons after playing them in this game.
I know, right? They're going to have big old clunky buttons. They didn't have as much combo routes as everyone else either, unfortunately, especially past the second revision. But enough of that. The conversion from Decided to open things up, and we go for Rising Ice. Mirko breaking away to save himself from damage, but there's plenty more damage potentially where that came from. But this 2-1 stagger game, Mirko does it so well, Chef.
Yeah, it's, I mean, what you got to do, right? You don't have the tools like Sub-Zero to open people up with the 50-50s, so you have to make them swing when they don't want to, essentially. And that's what Mirko's so good at. But right now, oh my gosh, the teleport, that was such a huge risk, but good payoff in the corner. Now he just needs to find one more hit. Oh no, doesn't get the conversion again.
This is definitely a little bit spaghetti all over the floor, but the question is, who is going to out-scramble each other? Aye! Big old cage, straight, and that is going to be the first round here for Mirko, but I definitely wouldn't call that a clean round, would you?
No, whatever the opposite of that, a very dirty round. I don't know, I don't like to say that, that sounds weird, but yeah, that was really weird. And honestly, Mirko had 3, I think, separate conversions, or maybe it's just 2, that he could have just fatal blowed to guarantee the win in, and he decided not to, which was very strange considering how close that was. But I mean, hey, I guess it worked out to be able to hold on to that resource. But yeah, very, very weird. And I mean, they're just going in brawling here.
It's one of those matches where both players, I mean, man's just swinging at the moment. Forward 2 into creeping ice. Going to take a little bit of a mix up there, but the anti-air down 1. Good stuff here from Decided. Does not confirm the low though, but it doesn't matter. I think Mirko tries to go for a risky teleport. Waking up teleport like it definitely is not Mortal Kombat 11. Decided tying the knot. 1 round apiece here, but Mirko Has to be so careful because he has not got... Oh, what the hell was that?
There's nothing better than seeing a down 2 punished with a down 2 crushing blow. Of course, it is technically a high itself. It's just there's a really small window to be able to do that, and that just shows how close these players are.
Whoa. Looking for the anti-air. Again, throw tech, important stuff for now Desarted. And anti-air down 1 coming through for yet another time, trying to jump out in between. Teleport doesn't quite get as much damage as he wanted. Did not believe in it. Oh, that's a reaction.
Oh my gosh, we've seen the point blank teleports reacting to just something coming out so many times. I think actually he was ready for it that time, didn't do it, did it a little bit later, and this should be enough. No defensive bar, and Mirko just making Desarted whiff 1 too many times, or maybe like 5 too many times, as is the plan. But wow, this has been really weird. This is, I feel like, not a typical game for either of these players. They're really just going in and just giving it their all. Like, they're both kind of playing like K-Top, which is a compliment to K-Top, but it's just not the way that I expect these players to play.
It felt a little bit scrambly for almost the entirety of the match, to be honest, which, like you said, is not like either of them, but in those closing round moments, you know that someone's going to pull off something clutch. That first round was definitely a little bit scrambly. But as we now jump into the next matchup, same variations all round, but I do think that Mirko was getting a little bit cleaner the later the game went on. Little things like, one of the things I really pointed out there was Sub-Zero's advancing forward 4, right? Which, for those that don't know, is plus frames. That big kind of advancing kick that he does, plus on block. You can flawless block it on reaction, you can whiff punish it on reaction, but in Mirko's case, teleports it on reaction. So it's good that he's able to kind of keep that play up. It's the way he plays Scorpion, right? Super reactionary. But how's Desarted going to be able to pull this one back? I kind of like his confirms were still good. There was that one back 3 that didn't quite go forward, and you got to enforce that.
Honestly, I almost hate to say this, but I would almost like to see... Oh, no. Can you guess what I was about to say? It might have been raw slides in neutral, but it didn't work immediately. So thank you for commentator cursing before I actually said it, you two. But yeah, honestly, I would have expected more raw slides to work because he's sitting there and waiting for the whiff punishes so much. But yeah, there we go. Great teleport again.
Empty jump down 1 just in case Desarted tries to go for some kind of poke, maybe an anti-air. Whatever the case may be, back-to-back pokes. Desarted trying to strong-arm his turn in the corner, honestly. And now there's the down 4. Preemptive jumping, though. It's going to completely whiff. There's the overhead. Now Mirko has got a breaker. It's all gone now, though. Could get blended once. Instant breakaway. Wasting no time. Knows that that would have been the round if he didn't break. Plus frames. The respectful wait, though, on the inevitable down 1. The jump out. Oh, that was sneaky.
That was... I like that attempt to standing through right there, though. I think that's actually one of the most underrated normals in the entire game. But you use it a whole lot like you've seen Shang Tsung's use standing 3, where it's this really long normal that you can throw out in these weird situations. But I think that's just that perfect range they threw it out. Unfortunately, it was jumped over, but I want to see it again.
Desarted did manage to just completely overhead low mix there, but he didn't believe in either direction, getting just a meager creeping eyes. It's great for safety, but on hit, if you could go for a full combo, it certainly isn't going to help you. The jump into the mix-up. Always going to block low first and try to stand up on reaction. It's such a tight fuzzy, but it can be done. Oh, wow, that down 1. Stopping the forward 4 in its tracks.
Oh, big punish. Corner switch? Yep. All right, spinning the bar, knowing that there's no defensive bar. Yep, and now it's just going to be chipped. So hard to avoid. Oh, he was maybe baiting a flawless block, something like that. But this is scary. Oh, just down 1, down 1, down 1, down 1. It's like watching computers play. If you ever leave them on the like kind of like demo screen, a lot of times they'll just trade down 1s.
Perfect tutorial into how to play the game, I guess. Speaking of which, there's another one. Another meaty jump in. I do really like the amount of empty jumps Mirko's doing, because if you want a flawless block jump 3, you know, stop that jump 3 from working, those empty jumps are absolutely going to blow through it. No confirm again. Desarted just trying to create space.
Yeah, Desarted, honestly, like, dropping a lot of confirms today, playing really well, but, you know, there's been a lot of, like, for example, like, the down 1s catching out of the air, and the 2 1s afterwards there's a lot after that, a lot of back 3s that have hit that haven't been confirmed, which is uncharacteristic of him, but, you know, he did have to deal with some tech problems, some pretty serious tech problems earlier in the day, so sometimes that just leaves you a little bit discombobulated, and he's still playing extremely well, of course.
Discombobulate. Oh, rising ice. Doesn't cash out, though. Probably expecting Mirko to break that one away. And instead, cashing out right into the fatal blow. This is going to create a good situation for him. Plenty of meter still to get the job done, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think Mirko's used a breaker, though, so he has got wake-up options. Delays his wake-up.
Oh, great tech. Of course, the Mirko tech, the classic. The cancel.
Oh, they trade. Oh!
Classic Mirko. Oh, that's so good. Just knowing exactly what I mean. Honestly, this is something that we're seeing a lot more, I think, from Mirko today than we have ever before. Are those point blank, like just like almost footsie range teleports, which sounds like it's random teleports, but we've known for, I want to say, like years, basically, that Mirko has some of the best reactions in the business, free, hands down. So these aren't just random teleports, you know, like that's why almost none of them are being blocked. They're just that good of a reaction. You were talking about it earlier. I mean, we see people fail to flawless block Sub-Zero forward 4 sometimes. Very often, in fact, people don't react to it in time to flawless block it, but Mirko's able to teleport on reaction. Like, that's just too powerful. No one man should have reactions that good.
But it all stemmed from his Mortal Kombat X days. If anyone that remembers Mirko from back then, this was kind of late 2016, I think I want to say. Around 2016, anyway, the second year of the game's, I guess, introduction competitively, was when Mirko had Scorpion only, and he was the fastest, most aggressive, most cancel heavy. I'd never seen a Scorpion like it at the time. That was a long time ago, bear in mind. There's plenty of more Scorpions out there now, for sure. But that is where his entire game plan was kind of created from the ground up. And he still keeps those reactions going into MK11, even if Scorpion is not the same kind of explosive character he once was. However, big jump in, 1-1 with punish, no breaker for Desarted, so this is going to be fully complete, as high as he can go, really. And just the grab on wake up. Haven't seen many grabs from Mirko today. Oh,
oh, and the full conversion. All right, so we've seen him go to the crushing blow a lot right there, but this time he just wanted to start building the other crushing blow, the slide crushing blow. I should be more specific since there's two of them involved. 1, 2, 4.
so many. Sub-Zero having some of the more practical crushing blows. Absolutely lovely punish, though, for Desarted. This is going to hurt for sure.
Oh, that was a really late breakaway. Trying to bait the 1, 2, 4 there, I think. I think you can actually punish it if you break away at that exact moment, but oh no, really needed that confirm, and this is really scary now. Gets hit by the low and the full confirm. That, again, I'm telling you, for some reason today, not like usual, Desarted dropping a lot of these guaranteed kill confirms, and that was one of those situations he paid the price for it.
And one thing about Mirko, when he's got that fatal blow and he sticks to that forward 4, he's always got fatal blow in his mind. And it does actually mean that Mirko puts himself onto match point. It would be quite fitting if he's our first grand finalist of the day. The micro duck into punish. You barely even saw it. And the spear buff, 41%. And that's an anti-air. Doesn't quite get the down 1, though. Fortunate for Desarted. No! Confirm!
No. That's the opposite side of the missed confirms. And yeah, I just don't know what it is exactly, but it's certainly hurting Desarted's chances a lot. And the jump kick should be it. Yeah, that's going to be full meter. No chance of survival. And the classic. Wow.
The second we saw that second spear, we knew the brutality was coming. No competitive Scorpion player purposefully ends that combo in amplified spear if they're not going to just walk up, down 2, and then in it.
Okay. I think that sometimes we do see them go for the spear brutality. Sometimes, right? When they do this first spear, then the second one, it is pretty rare. It's got to be the classic. But hey, you know what? I'm glad that if any character can combo into the classic, that's why I say the classic, by the way, in case anybody doesn't know. It's actually what the brutality is named, the down 2 one. But yeah, I'm glad if anybody can combo into it really easily, it's gonna be Scorpion, since he is kind of the classic in its own weird way. But yeah, well, I mean, this was a good set, but it does feel to me like we just didn't see Desarted playing at 100%. His decisions were good, but it was just down to like the tech skills, dropped combos, misconfirms, not something that we're used to seeing. And you know, I hate to see it because Desarted, of course, especially with the Sub-Zero, one of my favorite players to watch in the region. But sometimes you just have one of those days. It's hard to know exactly what's going on. And Mirko, of course, was playing at probably close to his 100% as you can get. So when you match up to things like that, you know, even one mistake can throw away an entire set. But when you get stuff like exactly like we just saw on screen, it can definitely definitely lead to something like a 3-0, but that means that Mirko will be, of course, the player in the Grand Finals, which, well, at least in the winner's side of Grand Finals, but I think is maybe not a surprise to kind of anybody. And, oh, it looks like we've got our matches that played out on the bottom. And, hey, you know what? My call earlier today about H-Dope was wrong. We are not going to see him on stream.
But I think keeping in tradition with a fair few 3-0s that we've had today, there's just something about PlayStation tournaments on stream where we either get game 5s or 3-0s. There's rarely an in-between. However, K-Top versus Javier, likely to be Scorpion versus, I want to say Jackie, but it kind of feels a little bit like K-Top has wanted to go Cabal today. He's been doing really well with that air dash. But the only time he didn't do it immediately was when Desarted kind of, I think, threatened the possibility of picking Shang Tsung, which is not a matchup that Cabal players have ever liked. But now, what's it going to be?
I do have to, before we move on to this, point out that you're actually correct. All of our matches today have been 3-0s or game 5s. There's literally been no in-betweens, which is very impressive. Not even just on broadcast, but also off broadcast, which is weird. You know, we talk about the PlayStation Tournament's curse as far as that goes, and it seems to be continuing. I don't know why that always is, but it's just, I guess, the game 5s at least show just how good everybody in this region is. But okay, that's all I got to say about that, because I'm excited for every other match in this tournament. So K-Top and Javier, I mean, K-Top, you know, we've seen play against Mirko a lot, right? But this is a very different Scorpion, I would say, despite the fact that they are both good and they do have an overall similar play style. I think the specifics as to how they actually play it out can be pretty jarring, especially if you're used to playing against a different one.
Curious to see, well, I was about to say, curious to see what the poll results will be, and the people do seem to favour K-Top here. Again, it's not really by a significant margin, but enough to give us a bit of that information. How I would predict this, I really don't know. I think it is dependent on what character K-Top picks here, because either way, it's going to be a matchup that no doubt Javier's used to. You see a lot of Jackies online, you see a lot of Cabal players online. And wait a minute, wait, has Javier gone Sub-Zero? He has. Okay, I did not expect to see that. There's been so much Scorpion and Sub-Zero today. What's going on?
I don't know. This is very bizarre the way this tournament's playing out. We've actually seen a lot of repeat characters in general. We've seen a lot of Kung Laos as well. Oh no, that should have been a huge punish. But I mean, K-Top still at least has a life lead, so a few mistakes here and there won't mean everything yet.
At the same time, Javier no doubt has seen Desarted fight K-Top, and he's going to be able to kind of remember a thing or two. I haven't seen him pick Sub-Zero all that much, though, so I am curious to see what he brings to the table. Oh, and that's it. Boom, boom. Thank you. Give me that first round, and thanks for jumping in for the trip guard, mate.
Yeah, so when I said yet earlier, this was the yet that I was implying, because, you know, you get a few chances against Sub, but as soon as you get to about half-life, especially when you're at that 950 health from Jackie, you're like, well, I can't get hit at all, or I'm dead, and that's exactly what we saw. But you know what? K-Top, of course, one of those players always talks about playing better under pressure, so, you know, losing the first round might actually kind of give him a buff for the rest of the set, especially since he's already in losers.
K-Top has said quite a few times in interviews in the past that going into loser's bracket can definitely be a source of motivation, right? That last chance. Some players will rise or fall under the pressure, and K-Top known to be the former. However, could be latter today. It depends on how much more we got, because it looks like Javier is nice and solid to start things off. I got to say, was not expecting the Sub-Zero pick, but that backwards movement, we just need to create the space. Instant anti-air, though. Oh, dear. I don't know what happened there.
Oh, I don't know, weirdness. Every match has been at least a little bit spaghetti today.
Oh, no!
Oh, wait, could have got a full conversion off that. I think it could have been the kill, but
I just
didn't go for the ice
to do the ice ball. He risks standing in the puddle.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense, but overall, you know, didn't quite pay off. At least, I mean, one more slide closer to the crushing blow. But still, that's a little bit rough, a little unfortunate. And this has been a weird scramble of a game as well.
Ooh, give me that crushing blow, though. 30% just to kickstart a round. I can think of worse ways to begin. The dashing grab escape failed. That creates a horrible position now for K-Top.
Yeah, I think K-Top realizes it as well, and it's just like, you know what? I'm just going to press buttons. I'm not going to try to defend against this. I don't want to deal with this. But right now, that's looking to be not the easiest thing to do. And another down two. Nice anti-air. That's going to be chipped. No way to avoid that. And the surprise Sub-Zero pick from Javier looking quite good.
Yeah, it didn't particularly look like... Yeah, this was not the greatest Sub-Zero you've ever seen, but it was incredibly efficient at just playing the basic game of Sub-Zero. And I think that kind of gives us the information that we need for this matchup, because let's be serious, there's a good chance Javier watched or at least saw a few bits about K-Top versus Desarted, where this is clearly a character that can beat K-Top. If you play Sub-Zero and you are at least able to keep an eye on, I think, the small details that cause Desarted to kind of, you know, inch out, if you will. Let's take that information and pick the Sub-Zero and see how we do. Even winning a game here could be good if he doesn't like fighting Jackie. She's a character that is very oppressive, right? Not everyone likes fighting this character anyway. Least of all K-Top's version of Jackie, because it's so rushdown heavy. I think this was just a why not give it a go, and got the first game.
Yeah, I mean, it worked. And I do have to say, you know, I do agree with you. We were saying it's maybe not the like fanciest Sub-Zero and like the 100% cleanest Sub-Zero we've ever seen. But I do have to say that the anti-Jackie play was extremely clean. You know, choosing the right moments to anti-air, knowing exactly when to poke out of the pressure. It doesn't matter which character you play. That's going to be always difficult. And that's what we saw, I think, Javier really excel at. And you know what? Here we go. Another strong start.
It's like I've said, ooh, it just goes to show the fearlessness. Using that creeping ice and sticking out that long-reaching 1-2 just in case, and everything is working out so far. However, K-Top opens him up. There's that first hit, spending both bars just to get as much damage as we can. It's not going to be enough to get the life lead back, far from it. But it does create a situation. Beautiful throw tech, though, from Javier.
Yeah, I mean, I do have to say, though, in this matchup, both these characters probably the ones that care the least about having the life lead in the entire game, because you could be down 99% life, and one of these characters hits you, and you're like, oh, I might lose.
Oh, there you go. You want to close out the round with a cheeky overhead? Eat mine. Oh, that was fighting fire with fire in its purest form.
I may or may not have just been talking about the comeback potential of these characters, but thank you for showing the example very well, Javier. And again, the Sub-Zero looking clean. Oh, wow, the double with the down 4 going under the dash punch, going over the down 4, etc. for Infinity.
Another escape failed. The throw tech, I kind of like the immediate back-to-back throw. It's actually not something you see much at this level of play, so probably unpredictable. However, K-Top with the reactions to tech at the very least. Damage on the floor, more pressure. Stuck in it. Damned if you do, damned if you don't at the moment.
Yeah, that breakaway, I mean, did get him out of the corner, but he still took so much damage from that entire exchange. Now just has no defensive bar, so has to respect the wake up. Just kidding. Doesn't have to respect ever. Wake up jabs are going to work. Oh, they're both frozen! At the exact same amount of time! That was so sick. That was perfect. They were like, timeout, timeout. Hold on, we gotta chill for 1 second. All right, let's get back to it. Took a little drink of water.
Sub-Zero was definitely frozen for longer there as well. Absolutely. Oh, the whip punish though, sticking out that back 1-4. K-Top happy to punish. Throw tech again. Gotta watch out for these whiffs. Getting caught trying to move around right now as Javier on the verge of it being a 1-1, the way things are currently going. Oh, whoa. No forward 2 for you. Ah, and that's just gonna work out on its own. Nothing else needed. Whiff punish though, hang on. Sub-Zero incoming.
Yeah, we know how this can go. I think Crushing Blow's loaded now. But yeah, the damage over time on the ground is going to be the big issue. And yeah, one too many ice balls. Of course, Jackie going to have one of the best options in the entire game for that. Could have taken way more life than he had. And so yeah, this is going to be a 1-1. I mean, the Sub-Zero is working out quite well, but it does seem like K-Top's getting a little bit more used to the matchup. I wonder if we might see the switch back to Scorpion, because that's a matchup that, honestly, we've seen Scorpion win a lot. You know, being able to control people out of the air, one of Scorpion's greatest strengths, I would say. And, you know, when you're playing against Jackie, you need that strength.
It's a strong possibility, I'd say. It's, you know, you're going with the main character. This could have been an experimental pick. Does he pick it again? At least for now, he will. But I really don't want to say that this is going to be the rest of the entire series. This could, for all we know, be a blowout the next match. And then that's it. Maybe the Sub-Zero has served its purpose to get some games and we'll just try the Scorpion. But at the same time, it could be a matchup Javier hates to play. It might be more practiced Sub-Zero versus. I mean, there's so many different potentials for what could be happening here. But K-Top, the one thing you did point out for sure is that K-Top's getting more comfortable in this matchup. I think Javier was whiffing way too much in the closing moments of that last game and was just getting caught, whether it was back 1-4 whiff punished or whether he's just trying to move and getting caught.
Yeah, I mean, he was so... Oh, well, actually, a great punish right there. But yeah, he was so correct on his reads earlier in the set that it just seems like he still has that confidence, and he's being punished for it. So maybe he just needs to take a look back and think, maybe I don't go for the full back one string at this point. You know what I'm saying? But right now, looking extremely strong, maybe even stronger than earlier, and that's where the confidence comes from.
That's going to be the round for sure, as Javier makes short work of K-Top in that first round. I'm also keeping an eye on that corner positioning. If you can keep Jackie there, you're in good business. Definitely tried to uppercut that one, but ate a little bit more plasma than one might want. There's that knockdown now.
Oh, the forward throw. That's the thing. When you have the opponent cornered and they try to grab you, you're almost always going to tech to the corner. But Sub-Zero, forward throw gives you Oki, and then back throw in that situation when giving you Oki. So not going to be a good situation. Grab out of the corner, great with Sub-Zero.
Just letting the leap rock on its own. Not quite. I think there are certain situations where you can confirm off an air axe, but it is extremely situational. And K-Top will spend both bars just to completely guarantee. With that life that he's looking at, anything that left Sub-Zero standing, you risk making the comeback. And that's not what he wants here. One round apiece, and this is to be one game up. This is a significant turning point. And remember, this is to get into losers finals, where Desarted is currently lying in wait.
Yeah, and I think one of the biggest issues here is that since these players play multiple characters, oh, nice. I think that whoever loses here is going to really be second-guessing themselves as far as whether or not they should switch. And that's never a spot you want to be in a final game.
Oh, looks for the anti-air, but he's too early.
All right, what's the setup? Going to be damage over time on the ground.
My man held north.
Hey, it's Sub-Zero, one of the best jump punches in the entire game. It's so scary. Oh, is that going to be it? I think that's it. Yep, doesn't even need the crushing blow. And now, like I was saying, K-Top has to make a decision. Are we going to see the Jackie again? And at this point, too, is now lost 5 games to Sub-Zero. Big issue right now with this Sub-Zero matchup, and it's definitely one that K-Top has overcome before, but it just is not good today, I guess is the best way to put it. So the question is, what do you try?
The trouble pick. It has been the trouble pick, Chef. And I mean, look, Sub-Zero is a very powerful character, obviously, but with K-Top in particular, Sub-Zero is such a good character at being able to almost kind of match that level of chaos, I suppose. Jackie's a chaotic character. She flies around all over the place. She's rushing you down. She's swinging buttons. She's doing pokes for days. Sub-Zero's the kind of character, though, that he's got anti-air potential. His flawless block game is very, very good. His damage output is phenomenal, and you can either choose to cash out damage or you can turn it into more mix, something that she can also do in a different way. So he can very much kind of fight fire with fire in that respect, and it's doing really good for Javier. I didn't even know he had a Sub-Zero, but here we are.
Yeah, and honestly, I think the most frustrating thing for Jackie players, right? Because Jackie players, they want to be moving 100% of the time. That's their goal. So the fact that you can literally freeze them in place, they're like, why am I sitting here frozen? I want to be moving. I want to be doing something. And then it just gets in their head, you know? Like the fact you can literally slow down the match with that.
Now we started things off fantastic again. The backing up and oi! We're just sticking at that forward too. Almost gets the whip punish as well, but not quite. And the key, the absolute key that I do not see that much, Chef, the backwards movement from Javier. K-Top is really struggling to chase him down. Look at it.
Yeah, it's making K-Top look uncomfortable. Just not able to use most of his normal pressure, but it's working. It's a good call. Great tech. Yeah, the defense has just been so good in general, too, from Javier.
K-Top caught pressing buttons way too many times, but yeah, looking for the kind of cheeky last-minute cross-up to max out the damage. This is where I think the pocket Sub-Zero comes into play, though. Those little specific combos can be a little bit harder. Tries to punish it with a roll, but he's too slow. K-Top, this is an opportunity.
Yep. Any single hit right here, and it's over. You gotta block for your life, but you're taking so much damage from the damage over time on the ground. Oh my gosh, look at this chip. Gets a little hit, doesn't get the full conversion. That's gonna be it for sure. Doesn't even need to spend the fatal blow. Yeah, I mean, it's so scary. You know that one time that you let go of a block and you could be dead, and you wait and you wait and you wait, and you're like, I have to try something, and then that's the moment.
In that position, you know, getting grabbed, in theory, kind of ends the pressure if you've got defensive bar, because there is somewhat of a mix-up. I do truly think that Javier was expecting K-Top to throw him eventually, because then it gives him that up 3 risk, right? Anything that would have worked out for him. However, having to enforce that mix, there goes the crushing blow, spent it already, tries to anti-air, but again, that back two, far too slow. That late on, but there's that tech, get off me. With punish, and hang on, no breaker, K-Top's in trouble.
To know about that breaker. Oh, you know what? I lied. He proved me wrong immediately. Now there's no defensive bar on either side. All right, they're moving him out of the damage over time on the ground. A back throw right there would have been so scary. I think he was threatening that, and that's going to be the conversion. I think that's going to be enough. Fairly confident. And again, it just takes one little hit, and you're always going to be able to convert into that fatal blow. And so we are going to see a game 5. Sticking with the Jackie seems like it was the right call.
Now, we're talking about sticking with characters. Okay, so it's game 5. The Sub-Zero is clearly working, but is this where Javier changes to the Scorpion, seeing as, you know, this is as do or die as it gets. This is loser's bracket. If you get, that's it, you're out. You're out of the tournament. Thank you for the warm-up, and we'll see you a little bit later on. But knowing Javier, who did just do very well for himself yesterday, actually, in Coliseum Global Community Tournament Series by Mr. Aquaman, shout-outs to you. He did extremely well with Scorpion in that tournament. I think he got minimum top 3, if I recall.
That's yeah, I mean, very impressive. But coming off of that into another just set of powerhouse players that you have to take down is maybe you get a little burned out. All right, so we are going to see the switch to Scorpion, and I think that that's a good call. Like I said, we've seen this matchup work out in Scorpion's favor a lot in the past. Not to say it's like a counter pick per se, but if it's your main and it's not like a bad matchup, then I feel like that's usually going to be a comfortable choice. The big issue, though, is, again, I say this like every single time, but K-Top said it himself. He plays better when his back is to the wall, when the pressure's on him, and he's in the loser's bracket down to like reverse match point, right? So this is the ultimate pressure, and I think we saw that come into play last game.
Now we start things off with a nice little chunk of damage here from K-Top. Doesn't quite manage to get the ender at the very least, but keeps the side. I say so. Scorpion really good at repositioning at will thanks to that teleport cancel, something Javier uses all the time. And already the 2-1 on block into backing up. He is expecting K-Top to challenge these plus frames.
Well, and he did teleport cancel back into teleport cancel forward, which was a lot of defensive bar to spend really quickly. But one thing that people don't talk about a lot is that the different ways that you spend bar in this game make it recharge at different rates, and you actually do build it back quite quickly when you do the teleport cancels. But it's not going to matter at this point if you're just going to get hit little hits here and there. Death by 1,000 cuts, as they say.
I really like that play, though, from Javier, as the whole thing started from a clutch, flawless block. And he set up that escape failed into the crushing blow grab, keeping the fatal blow, as now that Spanish Scorpion moving himself into match point. And he's still got some resources left. Nice comeback, though.
Oh, no, but I may be reading the, again, just getting hit a lot on wake up here, maybe expecting the grab. The grab did finally come, but a lot after Javier was like, okay, maybe I'll block. Oh my gosh, just mixing it up so perfectly. Is this a flawless? It is. Oh, wow. That's exactly what you want going into a final round of the set, but also, more importantly, has the screen positioning. And I say that, it immediately loses screen positioning.
Chef, I'm going to be honest with you. I took a moment to take a drink from my water bottle, and when I looked back, the round was over. That was just lightning fast. What happened there? Whoa!
Bad things happened. Bad things happened all in a row. And you know what? This is the start of more bad things. All unbreakable up to that point. A breakaway at that point would have been just super, super late and a lot of damage over time on the ground. But here we go. The standing 4. Good damage in the corner from Scorpion as well. This is getting down to maybe one conversion away.
Especially with Fatal Blow. Javier's pretty much one hit away from getting Fatal Blow himself.
Oh, taking chip? Why are you taking so much chip? Oh, that's such a free chip. The spear actually chips a decent amount. You just gotta duck it. Oh, now they do both have fatal blow. This is so scary. Are we gonna see it raw neutral? Oh, the grab. That means the fatal blow neutral might not even be an option. Might get killed out of it. Oh, overhead is going to be it. K-Top switching to such a patient playstyle at the end, but it might have come back to bite him. And this time we are going to see the friendship.
Yes, indeed. Javier's going to be able to conquer K-Top today, but when it comes to the EVO warm-up rounds, this is not the last you're actually going to see of K-Top, because he did qualify for Tekken 7 as well. So you'll be seeing him a little bit later down the line for that one. But for Mortal Kombat, his warm-up has come to a close. I'd love to see him a little bit later when the EVO itself begins. You know, these warm-up rounds are a fantastic way for us to introduce and get everyone familiar with the methods, qualification, and all that good stuff. The stream, of course, but what a back and forth that I gotta say I wasn't expecting. That now means that Javier versus Desarted is gonna happen as our losers finals. So top 3 is gonna be 2 Scorpions and a Sub-Zero. I can't make this up.
or actually, technically, a Scorpion, a Sub-Zero, and then a Scorpion Sub-Zero. Technically, from what we've seen in this set.
Sub-Zero mirror. Who knows?
Yeah, well, it's gonna be some mix-up of those character choices, but I mean, I did like seeing the Sub-Zero, and I think it worked out quite well, honestly. You could tell for sure not as comfortable with the Sub-Zero as the Scorpion, but having it in your pocket for moments like this is good, you know. And K-Top is not a player that you can just randomly counterpick, so there definitely was at least that level of skill with the character. But you know, I'm glad that we did see the Scorpion in the end, and I think they were probably going to see a lot of the Scorpion just going into the rest of this tournament.
I just think that the crazy back and forth that we had in that set, it's just a taste of things to come, because I can only assume it's going to be Sub-Zero versus Scorpion for losers finals, because it's 2 characters that are going to play incredibly small decision at a time. We could have that Scorpion mirror as grand finals. Again, we already had that mirror earlier with Mirko versus Javier. 3-2 it was, although there was a guest appearance of Spawn for one of the games, not that it worked at all. But now what happens here? Top 3's decided.
Yeah, this is honestly like a real tough one to guess, right? I mean, we know for sure that Desarted is good enough to win this, but he did just come off of that kind of awkward winners finals where he just wasn't playing like himself, in my opinion. But you know, if maybe it was just one of those things where it's just you're able to shake it off, then Desarted could easily come back. Javier, of course, already taking Mirko down to game 5, like you said before, so he could easily win it. And then Mirko's sitting in grand finals in winners, so definitely he could take it as well. So this is one of the biggest toss-ups, I think, between any top 3 that I've seen kind of in a long time.
And with this, especially top 4, for sure, we've had such likely chances of those game 5s. Would be surprised if we don't see another one here. The grand finals could be extremely close as well. And as we can now see, keep an eye on the chat room. You have an option to pick who you think's going to win this. I'm curious to see what the people think, actually, because Desarted, if you're new to these kind of PlayStation tournaments and you haven't watched much MK11, this has definitely, look, can I say more? 50-50 split of the voted results. Desarted has been a absolute up-and-comer, but then again, so has Javier. I mean, they have a similar backstory, to be honest. Both players that used the PlayStation tournaments as their opportunity to rise from the ground up, show everyone what they can bring forward. Once upon a time, there was not even a Sub-Zero in the roster of Desarted. He was all Shang Tsung. He was the only player next to Arn Kratos that would pick the morph attacks. And it's a different time now, because he kind of has that split between Shang and Sub-Zero. But he's grown a lot as a player in those times, I think.
Yeah, I think maybe he hit Fatal Blow one day, and he was like, ooh, that ninja's kind of cool. I should try him. And just went over to Sub-Zero.
How much damage?
No, yeah, I mean, like you said, you know, they're very similar as far as like their like storylines. They're similar as far as they have the opposite characters in their character picks. In results, they're similar. So this is a really dead even match. I think the biggest thing for me, again, is if Desarted can really pull himself together as far as a lot of those conversions that we saw earlier. But I know for sure he's got it in him. The question is, will he be able to? And yeah, we are going to see the Scorpion to start things off. We're not going to see the Sub-Zero mirror. That can be pretty hectic, to say the least. And I think this is by far a much better pick as far as familiarity for Javier.
I just don't get why we've seen so much Scorpion versus Sub-Zero today. If you haven't watched much like competitive Mortal Kombat 11 and like, you know, you're watching it on the Evo stream or whatever it is, you'd probably think these characters get picked all the time. Now, although Sub-Zero does, especially with that kind of play, Scorpion and Sub-Zero versus each other is not a regular occurrence.
Yeah, and even still, like, Sub-Zero's popular, but he's not this popular, like, by any means. Like, we've seen so many Sub-Zeros today. 3 separate players playing Sub-Zero, 2 of them playing Scorpion, and just a bunch of matches between the two. Yeah, it's just one of those weird days, but that's why EU's so fun to watch.
Wow, that late active frames of the back 3 anti-air in the jump back. Not something that you see all that often. The respect being shown. That, again, the reactions from Javier's defense has been immaculate so far.
Yeah, and that's so important to have when you're playing a more defensive character like Scorpion, where you're at some point going to have to be defensive. You know, you're going to have to sit there and block because it's just part of his game plan. You can't just mash out of everything, or eventually your own game plan is not going to instill enough fear in your opponent.
Oh, and that was a counter hit.
Again, probably a read on a flawless block. We saw him close out a game like that against Mirko. But you know what? We take those. If the overhead hits, then the overhead hits.
And we're going to take as much damage as we can. And also importantly, building towards that slide crushing blow. Got to hit 3 of those, and that's where you get the crushing blow on the amp. Much more damage than normal. All right, loopable forward throw. This is going to be an opportunity for Desarted. The short hop, I mean, that's just really short hop or flawless block. Sometimes it can be a happy accident.
Yeah, we've seen that quite a few happy accidents in that way from Javier. Maybe he should be back 3 more. Oh, thank you. Thank you exactly for doing what I was saying. But yeah, I mean, I guess people were just blocking low against him a lot. Maybe you should start realizing that. Oh, speaking of blocking low, oh. That's the way to get back into it.
I think that right there, Javier was looking for the overhead, and he just got hit by it anyway. You know, he was going up and down, and then just gets hit by forward 2 regardless.
I can't tell you how many times that's happened to me, where I'm like, I know you're about to overhead right now. I know you're going to, and I'm like, are they going to? And I just like let go of block. I won't even be blocking low, and it'll just hit me, and I'll be like, I knew you were gonna do that, and I still got hit by it. But again, a little bit of a weird, awkward conversion there.
I think the second the opponent has breakaway, the slide becomes so much more of a risk, right? Desard is always expecting the break if it's late on in the combo. Speaking of break, Desard using his. The last one he's going to get in this round, absolutely. The raw jump in. Looking for an empty jump, though. I like that. Desarted. He knows the down one's going to be likely there. He knows he's not going to commit. There's that forward throw to create a situation for that Scorpion. So much meter to get some damage done, especially now. The raw jump, and it's 1 overhead at a time. The delay. Here comes another. Hey!
Oh my god. Jump 2, back 3. Jump 2, back 3. Jump 2, back 3. Whatever works, just keep doing it. If it's not broke, don't fix it.
Desarted could have got so much more from that. There's the flawless block, and he's going to get punished. See you later.
Oh, amazing breakaway from Javier. And I do have to say, just yet again, to spite you and your commentator's curse, it was built, you know, there was another breakaway built kind of like a late in that game, but
I didn't think it would take that long, did I?
Yeah, I know. Honestly, I didn't expect it at all. I 100% agreed with you when you said that. I thought that was going to be it as far as breakers. But you know what? Maybe Desarted thought the exact same thing. Like, oh yeah, he just broke away. But it's like, wait a minute, was that like 30 seconds ago? Like, yeah, and just wasn't ready. Did the punishable option. But I think that's a really clutch moment to be able to close out the first game in that way.
Just came down to, and the existence of the breakaway has been, I think, both ways. The breakaway alone has not been great for Desarted so far because his own conversions, like he's always looking to squeeze out extra damage when possible, but there's always a chance that when Sub-Zero goes for a slide and you break away, you stand up and punish him. Just like when Scorpion would do a spear and you break. You know, a lot of Scorpion players don't suffer from that anymore because they just don't go for it, basically. But when Desarted is squeezing out so many conversions, he's never really able to get max damage because he's just way too worried about the opponent breaking. They don't break, and he's just left damage on the table, right? Which is the breaker definitely being used against him, even when it's not being used.
Yeah, that can be such an issue. And I mean, I think one of the things is that he's maybe not using Rising Ice quite as much as he usually does, because Rising Ice does give you such an amazing opportunity. Wow, that was a really hardcore attempt at standing for the whiff. grab. But yeah, Rising Ice gives you an opportunity. Even if they break away, you deal good damage and you get really good Oki because it leaves you right in front of them. So I just want to see a little bit more of that, and that is kind of a signature thing of Disarted Sub-Zero that we're just not seeing.
Oh, and here we go.
There it is.
Corner damage. Even if Javier wants to break this, he's going to take so much damage. I just don't think it's worth it. So quite rightly holds on to the defensive bar, especially with the meter he's got. Could use it to make a comeback. No punish though, Disarted. He had the right call, but just didn't. Oh, gets the perfect call out on the back one tick though. You rarely see someone answer that one back.
Yeah, that is like 99.9% of the time. It just works because people are like, why would I ever start blocking after that? Wow, back three over slide. That's like some tool assisted thing, especially with Sub-Zero and Scorpion.
Zero damage
perfect.
combo video.
Exactly. Oh, forces the breakaway.
The less obvious throw direction.
Yeah, I mean, Scorpion cares almost just very little. What the? Again, the standing four. I don't know why we're seeing these raw standing fours be thrown out from Disarted. It's a really weird choice. And I mean, the first one's blocked, the second one manages to hit, but you're just not getting anything from them.
Second bar's going to get spent. He's going to get the crushing blow and the pressure. Yo, the cancel! I do not think the Disarted was ready for that. That kind of reminds me of MK9 Smoke. Ay! That reminds me of Sub-Zero and MK11. Forward 2 fatal blow.
Yeah, I mean, going back, the smoke thing where you whiff the teleport behind him, that was so sick. But one more hit, and he's going for the chip. Not quite enough. Oh, but the down one, great call out. That was a really scary spot to be in, but kept his cool. Managed to get as much chip as possible, and of course it's safe. That's going to be the one nice thing about the Creeping Ice. You know, you can try to guarantee that chip and not actually put yourself at that much risk. In fact, it puts you in kind of a range that you want to be as well. But yeah, good clutch in that moment. But I did love that teleport cancel. That was a really cool thing to do, and it's just not something you see all that much in this game.
It's expensive, right? You have to go for the teleport and cancel it, and then you can pressure, and it might not work. Maybe they'll wake up attack you, whatever it is. I can't quite remember how much meter Decide had there, so we might not have been able to wake up. But it's certainly not a setup that Scorpion players will go to all that often. It's kind of expensive because you have to cancel it, but same variation now. Going to bring us on to this next stage and the 1-1. Like I said, I think sit down and maybe expect a long haul here, not just here, but in grand finals, especially if Javier makes it through, because it was a game 5 with Mirko and Javier in winner's bracket. Could easily have a reset, and we could easily have a post-reset game 5 as well. So we could be here for a while.
We could, yeah. That's what I mean. It comes down to what I was saying. You know, it's a real it's an impossible top 3 to predict because they're all so close to each other. It would not surprise me if any of them won. But they're showing that off really well right now, and the fact that they're tied 1-1 in this set.
Okay. Every back 3, piece by piece, will add up, and Decided still blocking low. I mean, the forward 4 is the bigger thing to get hit by. However, speaking of getting hit, no breaker for Javier. Oh, we spent 2 of them. Man, that's still such good damage.
Yeah, that's a really weird combo because it only like ended in the corner so the second one could happen. Very, very strange, but nice, I guess, spacing knowledge as far as combos go. But oh, that's gonna be that. Yeah, a little bit risky there. Maybe a little bit confident because of how swaggy and cool that combo was, but sometimes all you need is forward 3 into fatal blow.
I like that optimization though. Anything else, and I think that Decided would have been able to use a breakaway. If you spend both, even if you spend both spears, the thing about the spear is it's unbreakable damage, but it scales massively. There's the 1-2. Decided creates that opportunity for himself. Corner pressure. Bit of a rippy. I think I've seen this one before.
Look how many back 3s are working. Oh no, another botched hit confirm. Not a huge punish overall for it, but you are stuck in the corner.
He's clearly...
Nice.
His lack of confirms are bothering him too, because the second he does hit a back 3 string, he doesn't confirm it. There has to be doubt in his mind that he's just not going to get it. However, the spear end is going to add decent damage on top. Only a little bit left. There's the up 3, and there's the confirm. Fatal blow. That's the round.
I'm gonna be the one that's wrong as usual, but I'm gonna say that I don't think this is gonna kill. I think it's gonna be close, but yeah, not quite enough. Oh, but he's still. Oh no, the jump kick! Oh, Oh no, yeah, I think he expected to kill as well. There's just so many little things going wrong for Discarded today, and I mean, it's incredible that despite all this that's going on, he's still managing to be in this top 3 and put up a, you know, like quite a fight. I mean, it's not like he's out of this yet. It's still 2-1. He's still got a game, you know, under his name. But like, it's just so many little things going wrong. And I don't know if it's one of those things where like one thing goes wrong and then it snowballs into different things going wrong and it starts to bug you so that more things go wrong, or if there's like something going on with like his controller or something weird like that. But you know, I just have to say, like as usual, it's not quite the Discarded we expect to see. But still, he's in top 3, so still a great showing so far, and still could win this.
For me, Chef, that's a testament to the level of play Decide has been able to reach, though, because for those, probably many of you on the Evo stream won't know, Decided was a real kind of unknown online warrior at the very beginning. The open series for Mortal Kombat 11 has been going for over a year at this point, actually, and he was one of the players that was there from the beginning, and he'd kind of get joint 5th, and that was where his journey would end for many, many months. And he just, you know, under the waterfall, man, he was on the grind and became one of the best players in EU and CIS, without question. One of the greatest Shang Tsung players in the world as well, so he's come a long way as a player, I tell you what.
Going for the raw slide there, though. A little bit of a an out of left field choice, which when you're getting run over like this is a good thing to try, right? Like it'll at least like get in their head a little bit, or at least put the respect in their hearts. But here we go, chance to make it come back in the corner. Are we gonna see the same corner combo? No,
Drops
just
the
a
combo.
drop. Another opportunity.
No, tactical reset. That was a tactical reset. No, untactical reset. No back 3.
I'm telling you, man, I don't know what's going on. It's heartbreaking to see, though, because, like I said, Desarted, one of my favorite players to watch. And it's not like I'm trying to make excuses for him, but, you know, we've just seen so much of his extremely strong Sub-Zero play. But Javier, I mean, taking advantage of every single opportunity. Oh, this is a big one, though. Down 2, no breakaway. Good call. Down 2 and down 2 and down 2.
No, it's because that is always some kind of read on them flawless blocking, especially seeing as Scorpion uses the standing 2, which is a high. Decided as a player that absolutely baits it out with a down 2 alone, even though he's already spent it though. So, spending the forward 3-4. Decided has no breaker. That's a lot of damage as Javier now only needs one good touch realistically. Oy, there's that advancing forward 4 for plus frames. The anti-air, and Javier's gonna do it with a clean stop of the jump in, which means that, ladies and gentlemen, it's going to be a Scorpion mirror in the grand finals. A game 5 it was when they fought in winners. We could very well have a game 5 before the reset. We could see a reset and have another game 5. That was a good set. Well done for Decide for the top 3 finish, but Scorpions going head to head. The 2 best Scorpions in Europe without question as well. It's a fitting final, I think.
Yeah. I mean, I'm glad that we got to see so much of the Scorpion and Sub today, but most likely won't see it anymore. There is a chance, though, since we do know that Javier has a Sub-Zero, but yeah, I'm not expecting to see it. But we saw a lot of really good call-outs on, like, mobility, especially in this matchup. Both players having really strong mobility, so then both players reading the opponent's really strong mobility. I think one thing to point out was, like, during that very final moment, how we saw the teleport canceled from the forward 4-2, and teleport canceled back, and it was actually read by Desarted, and he dashed forward, did forward 4 to punish it. And I think that's a super cool option, but you know, just it didn't quite add up to enough as much as he wanted. And Javier, after such a strong showing, like you said yesterday in the Coliseum, just showing up again. Just when you see somebody starting to do well and they go and they just do well in tournament after tournament after tournament, you can tell that like there's somebody who's here to stay, and they're just another name being added to this board of ridiculous players that we're gonna have the pleasure of seeing.
I can't wait to see more Javier, to be honest with you. He's been doing so many tournaments the last year or so. He's been sinking his teeth into as much as he possibly can, to the point where these 2 Scorpions that we have in Grand Final are proven in tournament to be the top 2 of Europe, right? Italy and Spain, bringing forward that Shirai Ryu, you know what I'm saying? But Mirko coming off into the Grand Finals on the winner's side, having already defeated Javier today. Now, for those that missed that match when they played each other, Mirko was actually not doing so hot against Javier when they began, to the point where he actually changed to Spawn and did even worse, giving up a free game. But then he changed to the Searing Rage variation, which is all about damage and staggers. There's no cancel teleport, but you get other utility, I guess, and that was enough to get him the next 2 games to kind of win that game 5 that he brought forward. Before we start this grand finals, I want to remind everyone that if you like what you see here, there's more than just Mortal Kombat 11 in the warm-up rounds and PlayStation tournaments. You know, compete.playstation.com. I can't scream it enough, really, that if you want to get involved in these competitive events, the Competition Center is the one-stop shop to do it. It's all done through the system. Couldn't be easier to get in tournaments. I wish it was this easy when I used to compete about 10 years ago. So as we now start the grand finals, Chef, of these 2 players, who do you like the most?
I think Mirko. I think Mirko had one of the weakest starts of any of the games today in that upper bracket finals, right? I think that was looking super lost. The switch to spawn didn't work out, but still he managed to clutch it out. He still managed to close out the entire thing. So now that he's got on top of the knowledge that he can do it very easily, the fact that he's got the advantage of grand finals in winners, so you have to reset the bracket against him, I think he's got to have an advantage going into this. But again, it wouldn't surprise me if he did end up losing, because Javier's been playing so well all of today. It's just, when you look at the math, which is obviously a stupid thing to say in any tournament, I gotta give it to Mirko.
I really can't agree more. There's also this major element of momentum when you come in from the winner's side. Some players can definitely play a bit more free-flowing, I suppose, which in the likes of Mirko means a great deal, because if he can be free-flowing and he's not worried about things, his reactions will be on point. Those moments where you might second-guess a flawless block, you know, he's bang on the money. And it looks like, importantly, he's starting out with the variation he used to beat Javier. So currently, right now, if I remember right, the Searing Rage versus Javier is 2-0. So we could just continue that unless Javier has something else to say about it.
Well, you know, I said earlier in the tournament that it's weird how he just never starts with the Searing Rage. Of course, we call it Searing Rage because that is the tournament variation that we got to see so much during the game's life. But technically, it's just the same moves under the name The Reaper at the moment for Mirko. But yeah, we will continue to call it Searing Rage. But yeah, oh my gosh, it's throwing out, and that's so unsafe in this matchup. It's so unsafe, but you know what? You just got to be confident.
You're playing that first game of Grand Finals, you got to send some kind of message, and in this case, just letting the forward 3-string rock, Javier with the good blocks and not getting caught by the overhead. However, looks for the back 1 tick. I think that's as good as he can get, really. Catching him out of the air, not going to be able to pick that one up. We're avoiding that interactable. Scorpion's back 1 ticks into grab interactables, and if they both have the option, like right now, he goes for it. He wants to bait it out.
And then they both faked it. They both faked it. Oh, this is so funny. Oh my god, they just can't hit it. What is this? This is ridiculous. They both know exactly how strong it is, and they're just like, okay, he's like, I'm not going to try to tick throw you this anymore. I'm just going to use it in the combo. No more of this. I am tired.
Dude, that was such a... If you don't play MK11 as well, you probably see that thinking why they freaking out, but they're both in front of an interactable that they can mix up into, and neither wanted to apply it, and neither wanted to get hit by it. That was so weird.
Yeah, and normally when you see people in like normal matchups in front of that, they don't know every situation that they can be ticked into it from. But the fact that they're both playing Scorpion and they both are such pros at Scorpion, they knew exactly what was threatening in every situation. That was pretty sick. I love that moment. But that's just the start of this grand finals. So now Javier controlling this corner.
Just the start is right. But we're going to trade one grab for another. Mirko's got to hit a fair few more of those. The flawless block. Wait a minute. The different element of the up-close pressure, right, is that Javier has the ability to cancel his teleport. Lovely flawless block, and that's going to force out the breaker. Punish incoming. Doesn't have 2 bars. We're going to have to keep it at 1. However, Death Spin lets him keep the same side. Now, there's the extra string. This is something that only Mirko has. I did see someone in chat room ask. I will explain it in a bit, as now there's another full combo, actually. Is that enough? Not quite.
But the chip, there's almost no way to avoid the chip. Actually, he didn't even need to go for that down 1 at the end, but yeah, I mean, I guess technically could have been flawless block, which would have been pretty scary, but yeah, that was basically a guaranteed chip situation. I think we got a chance to see so much of what makes Searing Rage good at the end of that round, but continue with what you were going to say.
So what I was going to say is that someone in chat, and I think this is important to mention, there's probably some of you out there that watch MK11 like, oh, I can't believe he's going to bring it up, but someone asked, are custom variations allowed? So what happened was, when MK11 Ultimate came out, which was the extra version that introduced Rambo, Melina, and Rain, one of the big competitive changes besides the introduction to those 3 characters was that custom variations are now fully allowed. So you can take the already existing variations if you want, but what you can do is build one from the ground up. So some moves are banned, some moves are a bit too powerful, and some combinations of moves aren't allowed. And moves still have their kind of slot allocations. Every variation's got 3 slots. For the most part, there's a lot more creativity with characters, and that is where the game changed a lot. Where here, like the Reaper variation that Mirko has, it's just Searing Rage, which existed since day 1.
This is very much off topic, but are there still any combinations you can't pick? I thought they patched most of them.
I know some characters were changed. I know Kotal Khan, for example. I know Geras still has some restrictions, though. But Kotal Khan's totems don't have restrictions anymore. I know that for sure.
Yeah, and the RoboCop flamethrower, whatever. We'll think about that later. That is this is not the time or place. But yeah, there's a lot of creativity, and that's why you can see even in something like a mirror match how there can be so much difference in playstyle. And that's exactly what we're seeing right now. We're gonna have a lot stronger mobility from Javier, and we're gonna have a lot higher damage and scarier pressure from Mirko. And right now it looks like the damage and the pressure might be up a little bit.
Oh, the micro duck! You want to try and answer this one back, eat this full combo, mate. Slam it down and get good damage. Looking for the empty jump. Another one. These 2 players, they're so flawless block heavy that the empty jumps are real. Lovely confirm, though. Good stuff there from Javier.
Yeah, this is going to be it. And the big ow. That's just mean. Just slam him on the ground when there already are kunais in their eyes. Kunais! Oh my gosh, I've never even made that connection. Kunais. This is looking like a very different game. I like it because the pressure honestly was so scary from Mirko originally that I like the fact that we're seeing more of this mobility, which is kind of what I brought up before, and we actually just saw right there with the teleport cancel.
Oh, counter hit as well, Javier. He's able to get that counter hit on deck, gives him that cancel as well. The knockdown into decent damage. Counter hit again, but when it's already spent, I mean, there's really nothing for the opponent to fear. 2-1. Oh, punish! And that's going to be a game on the board. It will be, as Javier now ties things up 1-1. Significantly more work to do, seeing as this is still winner's side of grand finals. Being on the loser's bracket side means he's got to reset it.
Did you see how weird that was at the end? He ended up behind him, and Mirko's body just like slid backwards. That was really weird looking. I don't know if everybody saw that, but yeah, that was exactly like I was saying, a very different game, right? And the thing is, like, I think you're usually ready to go into a mirror match, really expecting to fight your tools 1-for-1, but I don't think Javier was quite ready to fight the Searing Rage over the past few games that they've had. So the fact that he started to think like, okay, well, what do I have now that Mirko cannot do? And he started using the teleport cancels a little bit better and using his mobility a little bit better. And it seems like it's begun to work out. But yeah, this is just back to, again, there's, I think, a pretty good chance that we could see this go to a Game 5 or even a Game 5, then a reset, then a Game 5. Not surprising here in PlayStation tournaments.
Same variation coming on through though, Mirko. When you're able to kind of win pretty much 3 games in a row, when you count the last set and this one with the same variation, they do start to adjust. I mean, if you play this variation enough, there's going to be a couple of things you might be able to point out and adjust as you go forward. Speaking of which though, the grab game, Javier's grabs have been utterly fearless, which actually against Searing Rage is even more brave because the damage on a punish is fantastic.
Oh, and getting hit by the stagger. 2-1 grab. Yeah, this is the pressure. This is where it's scary. That's why I think Javier has been trying to like just not even be in this point blank range. It's almost like seeing 2 different characters. But you can see how scary this is. Checking the plus strings as well, and then finally poking out, and the flawless block is perfect, and that should be it. Chip, oh no, didn't go into the spin. Only 1 defensive bar. I think that could have been it, especially with, oh no, he didn't have an offensive bar, but I still think he could have had it. There's an opportunity.
There was definitely some kind of challenge there, waiting for the inevitable button press. Mirko, at least for now, can afford to be more patient. No, fatal blow, it misses. And that's the death spin. Oh, that was so close. Look, there's 3 scorpions in the shot. You got the 2 in front and the 1 in the deception standing.
That's perfect. That's perfect. Just right in the middle of them. All right, that's a little bit too good.
I'm seeing triple. 6 scorpions. Oh, Oh!
It's like
There we go.
All right, side switch too. Yeah, that's the scariest thing. Easy side switch from that. And the crushing blow, yup. So much damage. Of course, that's the crushing blow that does damage over time that remains unscaled after the fact. So it's just raw damage added to any combo. The problem is it's not instant, but when you're at this much life, it's basically guaranteed.
Plus frames, but the respect on the down one. I like that whiff punish on the back one, though, is so good. Javier with the breaker has to use it. The wake up button to interrupt. That was a brave decision. I think most players would be way not confident that they can be able to get away with that one. Back 1-4 fatal blow brings Mirko another game on the board. He is just about to win this tournament if he plays his cards right. Javier's got some thinking to do, Chef.
Yeah, I mean, the switch last game was looking so good, but again, just Mirko adapting back and forth. And I mean, honestly, that just kind of goes to show the skill of both these players, is that it does seem like every game, whoever just lost comes in with a totally new readapted strategy. But when it does, that's a pretty common thing, I think, to see between high-level players. And the big thing there is that then whoever wins the first game has an advantage. It's very similar to, I think, when we see people kind of going to the counterpick war. It's an adaptation war, and it does give essentially usually the first person to win the last game. Of course, there is the chance to kind of like mix things up just enough that you can win those 2 in a row, switch things up. What?
Why do they play the same characters as each other? They both, today, in the same sets against each other, have used Spawn against each other as well as Scorpion.
I had to think for a second. I had to think, like, did we misname somebody here? Are we looking at the other side? But no, that's just... Did Mirko clone himself and there's now just 2 of the same person? Are they secretly twins and they just don't know it because they were separated at birth? That would make sense, twins in MK11. It's
so
just too good.
The difference, because we might not have much time left, is that he has gone for Raising Hell, which I think is... So first of all, he's able to punish any of the long-range options here from Scorpion, which is great. But if I remember, I think Raising Hell is that low option, which means that back 1 overhead and back 1 low becomes a true mix-up. Anti-air, though, from Javier. Good damage on anti-air. Man, there was very little. Then he still gets the meter! Oh, my God! He didn't need to uppercut that one, though. He could have got a lot more.
Oh, there it is. There's the low. That does mean you don't get the restand, which is the highest damage ender, but nice grab to get the punish and get the side back. This Spawn looking really good. If this wins, are we going to see the Spawn mirror? That would be hilarious. Oh, beautiful anti-air. Had to break away right there, but that means that any hit is going to be super scary, and that's the hit. Okay, goes for the crushing blow. Doesn't even need to. Oh, actually didn't have any meter, so that was maximum you were going to get.
Oh, my God.
No!
There's just so many crushing blows in one single round. And the down one, out of nowhere, here comes the Spawn that, I gotta say, that took Mirko by surprise. I don't think he was ready for that. I don't think he was mentally prepared for that. And I think he only got touched a few times and died. Spawn, ladies and gentlemen, the damage of this character is... I think if we're talking about practical damage, Spawn has got to have the highest practical damage in the whole game. Like, as long as you've got the charging Hell Spawn, you can delete in a matter of touches.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that you can cash out as many bars as you want on it as well and get that like down to ender regardless, yeah, it's huge. And you saw that working so well that you see something that's really rare for Spawn. The fact that he opened up Mirko so many times, he just ran out of offensive bar and he was like, oh, I can only get 300 damage from this crushing blow like a few times in a row. So that is a good problem to have, I would say. And yeah, that was very surprising how well that worked. This could be the pick moving on out from this point. I mean, I love to see it, right? Spawn, I think one of the coolest implementations of any of the guest characters in this game. Looks so sick. Everything with the cape is sick. Everything with the chains is sick. Of course, Keith David voice is unparalleled. So yeah, big Spawn fan in this.
This is either going to be just shy of the halfway point, well, we're going to finish the tournament right here, right now for Europe. And if you do enjoy today, stick around. We have North America after this. But for now, we still have got that Mirko versus Javier grand final in the making. 1-1. Now, not a counter here, so we're not going to get any kind of crushing blow here. Now, what that Raising Hell does do is provide mix-up and safety.
Yeah, I like this. It's not a combination of moves that we usually see because people love having that restand. And not only for the restand, but the fact that if you spend a bar on it, it's like one of the strongest special moves in the entire game. But one way or another, however you want to use it, it's strong. But I like this usage of the low chain.
Counter hit though, Javier spent a lot of meter, which means that this is going to be completely guaranteed. And the grab on Wake Up, just going all out for damage and mix up as much as he can. The 2-1+ frames, standing 3 anti-air. That's the last breaker Mirko's going to get in this round. He refuses to press buttons. Javier's trying so hard to bait it. Uses the 1-1+ frames into back one. Still no one home as Mirko happy to just let it rock for now. Looking to press a button. At this health, Spawn will absolutely kill you. Oh, what did you know? Mirko's on that tournament point for this Evo warm-up round. EU, can he do it?
Yeah, looking a lot better adapted to the Spawn pick. Wasn't ready for it for sure, but I mean, still just landing so much damage. Expecting the breakaway there? No, didn't just went for the down 2 for some reason. Could have got a little bit more damage. Still, like, huge
I can only
amount.
assume he has to just go for the down 2 ender because he hasn't got the Fatal Phantasm. He hasn't got the restand. So that must be his highest damage, maybe.
You can still go for like 4-2-3 into the charge, I think, or 2-4 into the charge, and it'll definitely do more than down 2. But regardless, that's not the point right now. There's still a ton of damage, and down 2 is breakaway proof. But Mirko's still holding on. Spending defensive bar. I'm surprised we didn't see him switch variations because you end up in spots like this. Oh no, you break away now. Red, extremely red hard right there, but there is no armor breaker. Once you have the charge, it does replace his normal armor breaker, which is the club swing. Definitely not the name of the move, but here we go. Reset point and tournament point. Let's see who can win this. Oh no.
Chef, if you want to be specific, it's called the Soul Shattering War Club, which is probably why you don't see people call it much mid-match. There's the forward 4 though, gives him the full combo. Now this is either tournament point or reset point. Either way, someone's gonna be happy.
Casual 460 damage with just spending 2 bars right there. No big deal. Oh, crushing blow! Oh, he's gonna get a big combo off of this. Oh, he just went for the reset, but he is gonna connect it there. Yeah, he's keeping it very unbreakable. He also didn't have any like offensive bars, so he was doing the best he could, but he's evened up this very quickly. The fatal blow is here. Just needs to find any hit. Again, the flawless block mistake.
The down 1 to challenge. Mirko knows he cannot get hit now. The charge will kill him. The fatal blow will kill him. Don't get hit.
Oh, this is starting to get down to chip. Oh, it hits him out of the teleport. Oh, the reaction teleport cancels just to add even more there. Rather than just go for the full thing, he went for the cancel, got the hit, got the punish. He's like, you know what? You tested my reactions once. You caught me with the standing 3 as I was teleporting backwards. You tested again. It's not going to happen this time. And so it all came down again to those Mirko reactions. So good. But I got to say, that spawn was looking very, very good, and I'm curious if he'd start off with the spawn, how he would have done overall, because it looked like even in the toughest moments there, he was completely in it. It was just down to one singular read.
I feel like it's every time these two players fight, it's information into information into information for the next time they play. And in this case, we started the day off with the Scorpion Mirror favoring Javier until the Searing Rage got picked by Mirko, and then the answer to Searing Rage was, right, you want to do loads of damage? Let me pick Spawn, show you a thing or two about damage, mate. And how close we were to him resetting. I think all it took really was one more substantial hit. Charging Hellspawn would have killed him, the Fatal Blow would have killed him, and Mirko, I think, really on a razor's edge at the end, making sure he just doesn't get hit by anything. And an impressive showing. That was a really fun grand finals. We didn't quite get the reset, but Mirko, I believe he actually got first place in both qualifiers even leading up to this tournament, so I can't say I'm surprised that he was able to win today's event. He was the best player going into this, and he is the best player of the day overall.
Yeah, Mirko showing time and time again to be potentially the best player in the region, or at the very least in the running for best player in the region. Of course, it's always hard to call anybody the best of anything, but this is, I'd say, as close as you can get. And I also have, side note, final thing about this matchup, I loved seeing the low chain, not something you almost ever see from spawns, and I think that was really creative, on top of the fact that it was a great showing with spawns. So congratulations to all of our players for placing well. Of course, because this is an EVO warm-up round, every single player in this top 8 got paid, so congratulations to them. But the one who got paid the most, of course, Rise's own Mirko. Always impressive, always so fun to watch, and I mean, who doesn't love the classic Scorpion?
Now, if you enjoyed today's action, stick around because this is only half of today's Mortal Kombat activity. We've got the North American warm-up taking place very, very soon indeed. But as you can clearly see in front of you, it's not just Mortal Kombat that is a part of the EVO schedule. Look at all these games in front. You can see the warm-up rounds, the side tournaments. We've got games like Soul Calibur Skullgirls, you know, DBFZ. It's all here. And if you like fighting games, this is absolutely the place to be. Compete.playstation.com. That competition center gives you all the information you need for not just the tournaments and how to sign up and how to get involved, but the competition center also has a bunch of unique exclusive content on the website as well. So look, if you're a fan of fighting games, sign up, be a part of it. Would love to see you. But that does mean that at least for EU, that's all we have time for. And that'll be where I'll be leaving you today. It'll be Ultra David and Chef joining you for North America. So thanks for your time, everyone. Always good and always a pleasure to chat video games with you all. But after a bit of an extended break, we'll be back with North America. So thank you for watching so far. Grab something to eat, break, whatever it is. And we'll see you with more Mortal Kombat. Take care. Much love.
PlayStation